white and black children, like in her group, she would actively like one, she would like boast up like the white kids, right? But then to to minority children, she would actually actively like have more punishments for them, to lower their self-esteem, right? Do anything she can to make them feel shit about themselves. That shit was fucking wild to me. That person put them on blast. Everyone needs to know about this individual. They have done actual harm. They're taking actual harm. But to say
Yeah.
that a person who necessarily own a forum is the same, and then again, a person who reselled,
Depends on the forum. Got to make sure that the community has accurate information about the person and what they've
do
actually
people
done.
care?
Like I said,
Hold on,
accurate information.
if you say a racist or a white nationalist forum, do they care? Like, oh, maybe this one is more of a lulzy white nationalist forum, and this is more of a genocide white nationalist forum. Will people make that distinction?
Sorry, there's
Yes.
not really no. Wait, no, there really is no fucking distinction. The
Okay,
idea that
then why
there are
did you say that?
the idea that there are white nationalist forums that exist purely for the fucking lols. That's not the fucking case. There are people who get into some dumb fuck place like 4chan or whatever, and fuck around for the memes for a little while. But like, it doesn't take long to realize that you're in an actual place surrounded by actual fucking Nazis.
I'm sorry, hold on. What's his face? God damn it. New guy who walked away
Redolin?
from. Not
Oh,
Redolin.
sorry. Yeah. Can you
Yeah,
hear me? I
yeah,
apologize.
if you can mute yourself, please. Thank you so much. I apologize, Viv. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were saying that these were there's no these forums don't exist. It's not like forums just for laws. Then why? Then maybe I misunderstood you. Why do we need to disambiguate that? What does it matter which white nationalist forum they were on if they're all the same?
Because it's not just about just being on a forum. You said just being on a forum,
Red's here,
and I was like, yeah, sure. If all they did was just be on a forum, right?
Just
then you can fucking you can draw whatever conclusions you want from that.
Even if we
right?
say the same thing,
but there are like,
but
what I said is, if somebody's a Nazi, then it needs to be made known to the fucking community, right? And the evidence that you have to suggest that somebody is a fucking Nazi, if it's just the posts that they've made online, right? That doesn't warrant the same kind of response as like, oh, this person was organizing with Vanguard America or was like present carrying a tiki torch at Charlottesville, right? These would be two different fucking situations. Again, I'm sorry that you can't understand proportional.
No, hold on. Don't do that to me. Don't fucking do that.
I'm sorry.
You've
been condescending to me throughout this entire conversation. Don't
fucking do that to me, Viv. Don't do it. Don't do it. So, like now, if you're trying to actually add nuance, because I asked you multiple times, you didn't say any of this before. Glad that you're finally adding some nuance to this.
Oh
right?
my
Great.
God! See, don't tell me to not do it to you and then do it to me.
Did that. You absolutely. So, like I said, like this person just was on a forum, just posted on a forum. Now you're saying, okay, well, I'm just saying that they're organizing. They're an organizer. And so that
no, that's not what I'm saying. Will you fucking listen to what I'm saying? I'm saying that you make sure that the information about the person is accurate so that the community can arrange a proportionate response, right? That's what I fucking said, Prime, okay? And me talking about whether somebody's just posted on a forum or whether they've actually organized with white nationalist groups, that's an example, right, of how the information needs to be accurate to the individual person, to the things they've done.
Oh, then that's worse then, because people aren't going to make that. Because people aren't going to make that distinction, right? A white nationalist is a white nationalist. People aren't going to do that. Once again, we have the Amazon reseller. He gets death threats. That guy gets death threats reselling hand. So are people going to disambiguating? Great. Sorry. Well, that sucks. Actually, that sucks. I'm sorry about that. So if you're saying they're on a white nationalist forum, one person just posted, right? Posted for the lulz, and the other person is trying to organize for another Charlottesville rally, right? People aren't going to make that. They're both getting death threats. They're like, you get that, right? You understand that? That's the quote unquote proportionate response.
You can't see me raising my hand.
Correct. Yeah.
And you.
So what you're saying to me, right?
Okay.
Now, which I think is definitely a very interesting conversation that we could have, right? Is how do we get the community to react appropriately and proportionately to the information that they're being given? This is a different conversation from whether or not the community should be given that information so they can keep themselves safe.
The reality of the situation, I think that people need to come to terms with, and Prime, you might be one of these people. I don't know you that well, but this country is transforming. Like, it's almost like a whiplash effect. Like 40 years ago, certain things would be acceptable that are not acceptable now. And like I was saying earlier about the country recalibrating itself, certain things are becoming normal that weren't normal before, and things that were normal before aren't accepted anymore. And being any sort of white nationalist or doing it for the laws or all that stuff is 2012. That's out the window. Like, it's not acceptable anymore. I mean, you can still do it. There's no laws passed against it, but society is deciding, like it or not, you know, the majority of society is deciding that that's not okay. And why you might personally not agree with that, it's the reality of the situation. And if nobody is, my stance is, if nobody is breaking any laws, like, you know, Chatty Cathy, being a Chatty Cathy is not breaking the law. So if you want to, you know, plaster somebody's mugshot about them peeing near a school, you can do that. And the community's response to that is going to be reflective of the times we are in.
Like, I think when we say, like, do it for the laws, it's like subjective. It's like something like people do for something that's funny. They try to do it because it's funny, not that it brings harm. Like when we bring up the people who went to the Charlottesville thing, they did it. Some of it did it because it was a meme. They didn't realize that they were fucking hanging out with real Nazis until they showed up. You know,
right? That's true.
Exactly.
They aren't the ones that are facing repercussions. I mean,
careful what you allow yourself then.
Yeah, some people did. Some people had
responsibility to put yourself on the people that you're surrounding yourself with.
No, some people had their fucking pictures, like their face plastic, just because they were like in the same photo as a Nazi. You know, like that. That's
what are you doing in a What is the repercussion of that, though?
You're just a dude walking by and the fucking photo happens. Come on, bro.
No, what I'm saying is, what is the actual real world ramification for that person? What happened to them? They got their face plastered, and then what? What happened after that?
They got
some people got kicked out of school. Yeah. Some people like considered them
for just walking past.
No, for just like being there. Like
it's like the guy from the electric company.
If you're marching with the
this time, now he's a Nazi. I don't like it. Now his whole life is ruined because of the word Nazi.
I don't even believe what you said about the fucking electrician because you didn't tell the truth about the other guy. But like, if you're marching with the fucking Nazis at Charlottesville, I don't care. You're not in it for the fucking memes anymore. Okay?
No.
You're not in it for the memes. I don't care what
you literally have examples, right?
And examples of people saying, I thought it was
I'm sorry. I don't have their fucking name on me. I don't have their fucking name.
Dude, it was like fucking 4 years.
That's not what I was saying.
Sorry. I'm responding.
That's not what I was saying.
I know you weren't saying that. I'm responding to STV, right? So to you, right? You're saying that there aren't people. Yes, there were individuals who were interviewed, right? Who said like, this was more of a joke to me, right? Like there, and Vivian, you understand the alt-right pipeline. You understand that how people get into it are through memes, right? These memes about like, oh yeah, you know, these immigrants are dirty or whatever the fuck, right? And it's funny, right? It's all a joke. And everything's a joke until it's not a joke, until suddenly it's real, and then you'll find the people who will move further down, and some people who will reject that. Right? We had an individual, an inflection point in Charlottesville, where individuals were on their way down that alt-right pipeline, right? Who came down there because they thought it was going to be fun, found out that's not the case. This is some real shit. That individual, some of them were kids, right? And some of them were kids, but maybe some of them were adults. Whatever, right? Doesn't matter.
There's a lot of child Nazis out there.
So you're saying they fucked around and found out? They fucked around and found out, and now they're dealing with the consequences.
My problem is that the remedy.
That's what happened.
Don't yell at me, Jason. Don't yell over me. That the consequences that you're advocating for, the consequences for a reseller, that consequences for a kid or maybe whoever, right? Who is flirting with this ideology, right? But thinks it's a joke, and the consequences for someone who is serious and who might get violent or whatever, right? All those things are the same to you. This is my problem. And then
I get death threats.
And then the response to that. And the response
clearly
to that,
not the case.
Hold on, Vivian.
And the response to that, from the public, is never going to be proportionate. It's not going to be proportionate. So maybe instead, right? We should take all these things individually and have a more accurate threat assessment of these individuals, and then
and give the public the accurate information.
Not give the public, because the public doesn't do that, right? The public doesn't do that, right? So if that was the case, that'd be one thing, but they don't. The public,
these are legit Nazis,
doesn't do that. So like
they're legit Nazis and white supremacists that we're talking about.
Newspaper,
like
right?
We're legit talking about Nazis and white supremacists.
Try their best to have responsible reporting for these things, because we understand the public is not proportionate.
The best we listen. I said earlier, and I hear you. I said earlier, I get death threats. That wasn't just a comment I thrown out there. My content on my channel is I talk about gun violence in Philadelphia. We have we have an epidemic. There's almost 600 murders this year in this city. It's unbelievable. So I think my viewpoint on this is a little bit different. I knew when I started my channel, which just blew up. Like, I had no expectation of that, but I knew when I started my channel that it would be a problem because of the reality of the streets of Philadelphia. That was an action I took, that I knew the risks. I knew that it was that it was dangerous to do that, and I still did it. And if something does happen to me, is that that's the reality of the situation. Like, those kids who went to the march, like, they knew what. And are we talking about 1 or 2 kids? Or are we talking about 100 kids got suspended from school? If we're talking about 1 or 2 kids, this is a pointless conversation, because it's like you got caught up in the media storm of this whole thing, and that's sometimes happens, unfortunately. If you want to have a conversation about sensationalism in the media, that we can do that, but
I just don't buy for half a fucking second that anybody present at Charlottesville after the first couple of hours was like, oh no, I was just here for the memes. I don't actually have any.
After the first couple hours.
Yeah, literally after the first couple of hours.
Okay, so hold on. Why are you disambiguating that? Why are you drawing that distinction?
There's all these fucking Nazis and shit.
Why are you drawing that distinction? Because that's exactly what we're talking about. That's the distinction we're talking about. Because people arrived, they're like, oh, there's that bunch of actual fucking violent individuals here. I was going to be a part of this thing, and now I've changed my mind. Those are the people we're talking about. Right, so in the interview I'm talking about, it was in the daytime, right? It wasn't the Tiki Torch March, right? It wasn't that. It was before then, when there was all those violent clashes happening in the streets. That's when they interviewed people, and they're like, "Oh shit, never mind. I'm sorry. Like, I don't want anything to do with this." So that's
the violent clashes in the streets are happening on the second day. The first incident is basically the tiki torches at the fucking statue.
I'm sorry, man.
That's on the night before. Then all the other members of the white supremacist groups show up the next day. So there's a lot of anti-fascists and shit. There's brawling in the streets, and James Fields drives his car into Heather Heyer and a whole bunch of other people.
I might have the timeline wrong.
So I still have a clarifying question.
Hey, Vaush.
Are we talking about the general practice of private citizens and journalists exposing people in an area? Or are we talking about some kind of government policy to put people on a list and force them to go door? Are we talking about decentralized or centralized action here?
Well, we were talking about both, and I said that the former, the forcing people by the state to go around and say I'm a sex offender for like all these random for a broad variety of sex offences is fucking ridiculous.
Just gonna
At
say
which point,
Nazis are shit
Prime raised
and
an
they should be
objection and said,
ostracized.
but you said about the newspaper guy or the hand sanitizer guy. And yeah, we've just been stuck on that ever since.
You know who I'm talking about when we talk about the hand sanitizer guy, Vaush? We were talking...
I remember the article. He was the guy who bought up like a garage full of shit and got in hot water. Mm-hmm. I think the issue is, so I'm an enlightened centrist on this. I don't know if a community can ever respond to something like that responsibly. It seems like there's always going to be a disproportionate response, whether it's over or under. I don't think crowds or like mob fear is
just
a
so
good
you know,
way
I've
of
fucked up
like
many Nazis in my youth. I used to beat the shit out of Nazis.
But at the same time, I think there can be really severe
Nazis when I was a kid.
Sometimes to not using, you know, that social denunciation, which is a very, very powerful force when it comes to stigmatizing certain types of behaviors. So I guess it's possible that every once in a while you could get a guy who is disproportionately castigated for something they've done,
brother,
but it's possible the negative from that might be massively outweighed by the sort of general social effect of that behavior. I mean, it sounds cruel when I say it like that, like, oh, sacrifice this one guy. But there are a lot of social interactions that work that way. I mean, realistically, when we talk about, you know, even arresting people for crimes, we're really talking about usually arresting a tenth of the people who actually do it as a deterrent to the other 9 who may try, you know?
I think the argument that Prime was making was that, and I don't want to, you know, misrepresent your position, but you think it has gone too far. You think that the social denunciation has swung too far to the extreme of ostracizing people.
Does this really happen with the Nazis, though? I mean, I've seen a couple of those flyers sometimes, but I usually when I saw them, it was in university, and it was like, there's a guy in this town who's bad. I don't know if I've ever seen... If there's like a trend of like people posting dox flyers on like telephone poles, it has to be really limited, right? I mean, that's got to be like these are the worst like Atomwaffen like active members, and it's getting posted by like Antifa types. I don't know if it's like a huge trend.
But what we were talking about,
it just generally kind of happens like that, yeah. And the response is never like a mob turns up outside their house and starts trying to kick their door in or whatever it is. They don't, you know. It's it tends to be more activist based in terms of people who actually give a fuck about trying to combat that shit in their community, and it'll be like, phoning up wherever the fuck they're employed and getting them fired or whatever, right? Yeah.
So what we were talking about is what Viv would like Viv's prescription, right? And Viv's prescription included putting making them known to the public, right? So the example we used was just articles, but there's other ways you could do it, right? And she says not state action, right? Which is fine, okay, not state action, but making it known to the public, right? And so I brought up an example of a person who was just on a white nationalist forum, right? Having these discussions, right? Hasn't done any action outside of that. But is on that forum. And she's saying, well, that person, we should let the community know about that person as well. And I'm saying, well, this person actually hasn't taken any action yet other than discussing these things. And all kinds of people end up having these discussions, right? And so we shouldn't necessarily be putting their faces out there yet. If they've done something more concrete.
By we, do we mean the press? Do we mean us? Do we mean flyers or like talking in our local like community text group? What's the just give me a feel for the.
So in my head, I was thinking of the press.
I want to hear from Prime because I'm curious where he'd draw that line, I guess.
Sure, yeah. And my thing and my in my conversation, when we were thinking about the press, I haven't really thought too much about like other people like putting up flyers themselves, like individuals doing that. I wasn't taking that into my argument. I was more specifically talking about like the press. But
okay. Or maybe that's where the misunderstanding comes in then. I think it would be really fucking weird to just have like absolutely everybody's name who's ever posted on a fucking forum, like put in it. Like people wouldn't even fucking pay attention to it in general anyway, right? Like if you plaster people with that much information and like there's this many fucking bad guys around or whatever, I imagine it might create a sense of paranoia or whatever in general, but they're not going to be looking at the information. And frankly, throughout this entire conversation, I've said the most important thing is making sure that the public have accurate information. I don't think it's necessary to go around, to write up whole fucking articles on absolutely everybody who's ever posted on a forum. I think that's
okay.
I think that in a few ways. Do you identify as an anarchist, by the way, Vivian?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. I think that Vivian has a more I think that a lot of anarchists, and I'd like to include myself in this, but there's a view of the community as a more directly involved thing, you know? Like, I think a lot of anarchists like to imagine our communities in ways that villages used to be considered, where, like, sort of, it's not that everyone knows everyone necessarily, but you have an immediate, there's an expectation that you know what's going on around you, and community policing, ideally done responsibly, is a big part of that community. Whereas, of course, like nowadays, nobody knows who their fucking neighbors are, right? So there's
layers.
All social behavior is regulated by the law and not much else.
So there's layers to it, right? Like, I mean, normies would have their community watch or whatever, right? And those would be the people that would be like trying to process this information and work out whether like anything needs to be done about it. But ultimately, there are people who care about this information. There are people who care deeply about this information and try and do something about it and use the information to inform other people and try and get them to do something about it. And then there's the vast majority of people who just do not give a shit. Right? Even this fucking dude whose face was plastered in the fucking Wall Street Journal or whatever, I guarantee you 90% of the people in the town probably didn't even know his name, right? Probably hadn't even fucking heard of him.
We just talked about him for 3 hours and we don't know his name.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, right? Like, so there are some people who would take action, but like the community as a whole is probably not going to be taking any action against fucking anybody. If you just mean by the community, if you just mean all the people that live in a particular locality, which, you know, community has a lot of different.
Yeah, but how do you control the community reaction? Like it's just a mad show out there. Like the Salem witch trials was community policing, basically. I mean, you're just trusting that this mob is going to have, you know, a logical conclusion that's going to say, okay, we know exactly what needs to be done, how to punish them, and it'll be perfect.
Actually, the Salem witch trials wasn't community policing. It was local justices and officials, and they called in obviously increased Mathers, and then later Cotton Mathers, right?
No, I could say, hey, she's a witch, and then now there's a trial.
How it worked.
But I mean, it wasn't mob justice. It was literally the legal system of the time. There were fucking trials. There's reams and reams of court documents. I did a whole module on the Salem witch trials during my history degree.
We don't have anything against communities discussing things that happen in the community, right? I mean, we're talking about one of the roots of what a lot of people would consider to be old Americana. You know, suburbia, you've got your PTA meetings and stuff. I feel like what's being talked about right now is just a modern logical extension of the idea that if you live in a community, you should be kept aware of the behavior of any individuals in that community that's legitimately threatening. And again, I'm not talking about posting once in a Nazi forum, because you'll never guess who in this call would be implicated if every Joker moment that they'd ever had online was treated like some kind of immediate community offense. But if you've got guys like Kyle Chapman, that's the stick man, he was at Charlottesville, tried to take over the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
Like, guys like that, like these people have dedicated their lives to, well, I mean, essentially to doing everything they can to advance a political agenda of genocide. I think it's okay to, you know, if he shows up in the neighborhood, just have a polite conversation with your neighbors about it.
Yeah. Agreed.
And like, Vaush, you were...
Sorry,
I was
go
just saying,
ahead,
Vaush. Hi, Vaush. I don't know if you remember me. I'm sure you do. Thank you. Still, by the way, I will just say, Sam Cedar. It's been 5 months. But you were mentioning those names when we talked. I think it was Jimmy Dore or something like that. And people always ask me about people like Charlie Kirk or Jimmy Dore or Steven Crowder. These people to me are just low down. They're a waste of time. I don't pay attention to them really. I'm vaguely aware of when they're in the news for whatever it is. I'm aware of what the headline is just so I know what's going on. But, people like that are they're just trash to me. They're not even worth paying attention to. I don't watch their stuff. I don't like their stuff. They're a joke.
Wait, he said Kyle. He said Kyle. Wait, he said Kyle Stickman Chapman, right? Who was like a violent white supremacist member of the Proud Boys. He led up their militant chapter, the fucking whatever the fuck they called themselves, the Alt Knights. And later on split and tried to start his own fucking chapter of the Proud Boys. We're not talking about a fucking Steven Crowder. Like, these two separate people and would require two very separate fucking responses.
Fair enough. And by the way, I actually...
about Kyle Kalinske. No neo-Nazi. Because their name
is just
Kyle. It's midnight. Don't...
I keep saying this. I have a completely different perspective of this because I come from Philadelphia, and the culture here on this. Well, I'm not from the streets, but I know the street culture here. We're having a real thing here where the community is not stepping up. Like I said, we're about to hit 500 murders for the year, and the community is not stepping up and talking to police. There's this no snitching code, and that's a problem that is on the streets. So it's like
dangerous to snitch, isn't it?
It is absolutely dangerous to snitch, and that's why people don't do it. That's why mothers are scared. The moms aren't even safe. The civilians aren't even safe. It's one thing if you're in a gang and you snitch, but they're going after the moms who see something happen and go to the cops. So it's like you really have
the thug life movement. That's fucked up. They're not following the thug life movement, which is actually anti-attacking like civilians in gang warfare. If you
absolutely
guys studied that shit at all.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Philly's like Miami. If you snitch, you can and will catch a bullet. Real easy.
Yeah, but Philly's not worse than where I'm from. So
I don't. That doesn't matter.
We're having conversations about calling the National Guard in, and people are obviously afraid that their civil liberties will be crossed or violated. Politicians are having this. They're begging.
Gain power, bringing in a military to handle these things. Which side do you think would gain more power from that? Just take a guess.
Yeah, the government would absolutely.
No, not the government. Which side of which side of the politicians would gain power by bringing in the military as a solution to what you're talking about?
The Republicans, obviously. What's the?
I don't understand. We have a far left DA who's trying things right now, and I think it's having a whiplash effect on the city.
Trying to bring in the National Guard. That was his suggestion.
No. The politicians are asking the mayor to bring in the National Guard to help solve the gun violence issue. The mayor is not declaring a state of emergency for the city, and there's major cause for that to happen. And I'm saying that that's not happening because of people's different social values. And
is it even? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just curious about something. Your opinion on something.
Yes, sir.
Well, okay, so
I call him sir. That's weird, man.
No, it's totally fine.
He doesn't deserve that level of respect.
I take that. I take Mr. No.
I have manners. I have manners.
So I grew up in.
Fuck your manners. When did you call me ma'am?
It's
ma'am.
It's when you hit a certain sub count. When you
listen, entered the chant. We know that Vaush is here, and we all know the deal. Go ahead, Vaush. I'm sorry. Continue.
Drop a few more. Tactical end bombs. Maybe I'll hit that.
All right. Okay.
All right. Let's let him go, Vaush, please.
Yeah, I made that mistake.
I think we know that I'm. I think we know that I'm the only man around here.
Come on, Vaush, please.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask. So from everything that I've read, I don't know if police can really solve a gang issue, because trying to deal with gangs with police is in a way sort of like dealing with terrorist insurgents in the Middle East with our soldiers, where I guess if you like set them all up in a line next to each other, I mean, we know who'd win, but the issue is that the insurgents or the gang members have had decades and decades to form tight community bonds. They know the layout, they know all the secret passages. They know the lock keys. They know the codes. It seems like it's like you'd need like an ongoing occupation, and it would be really, really difficult and really bloody, and it would exacerbate a lot of economic issues. From what I've read, it seems like the best way to solve gang violence, it has to be a long-term thing. You have to give kids something else to do. When they're like 12, 13, 14, 15, like young boys in the hood, their first thought needs to be, you know, I'm going to go to this arcade, or I need to go do this cool shit, or like there's a new thing opening up, or I have a local job I can do, or something like that, you know? The last thing on their mind needs to be, I have no choice but to join this gang. But that takes decades, right? So I don't even know what you do in the short term.
It's a mix of like...
I think outreach programs, like here in Baltimore, we have, what was it called again? Shit. It was... Stop violence in the streets or something. It was and we have no shoot zones. Yeah, we have no shoot zones where we lock off like a particular part in Baltimore and we name them as no shoot zones, and we focus on like meeting and talking to different members of the community so we can stop like violence that's happening here in the streets. It's been a little bit successful in my area. They're still working on certain areas.
Baltimore, from what I understand, is wild. Okay, go ahead. I was just saying, Black. From what I understand, Baltimore is absolutely wild. It's as bad as it ever was.
But I mean, in the short term, but the outreach program. We're getting too lost in this. It's not important.
There's three things that are happening. It's the individual, it's this situational, and it's this systemic, right? And the powers that be are always going to try to blame the individual so that they can keep the systemic things that are keeping money going to the cops. Like, and who is doing that? The Republicans that we were talking about, ST Philly, I think your name is. Keeping these powers where the cops, with their unions, with their successful unions, keeping the money flowing to them. As Vaush was saying, like, it's a perpetual thing. Like, it's not a one-to-one. Everybody don't. But they, like he was saying, going into like the Middle East and like occupying and everything. It's the same kind of an idea. Like, he's absolutely right about that. But the thing is, like, if you blame the individual, it's easy to keep the system going instead of us looking at the system as the foundational thing. Like when he was saying, like, bring in like youth centers and things to get kids to do other things. It's a mix of all these things, but it's the power structure of the situational, the poor, poor, poverty, et cetera, brought because of the system, and we blame the individual so we can keep this perpetuating.
And it's the same, whether it's terrorism, gang violence, fucking whatever, widespread radicalization. You have to treat all of these things holistically. Like, there is no, you can't just fucking put boots on the ground and hope that it's going to work.
You just used the word I was waiting for, Viv. You said holistically. Treat it holistically, because you're right. There's more. It's a public health issue. Avenue that you have to take. I mean, there's a lot going on there. Some of these people go into this because of poverty. Some of these people go into these things because of abuse in their homes. Some of these people, there's a variety of different reasons. So there's a lot of different ways that you have to approach this to attack it and actually get any kind of resolution, or at least come close to, mitigating some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question. To get it back to the original topic.
Oh yeah.
About irresponsible reporting and community policing and stuff like that. So I think we can probably all agree that if you're like an active neo-Nazi or whatever, you're like like an organizer in the movement, it's probably hands off on that. But what about when you see warning signs of a household with that kind of stuff? It's not much of an issue here, maybe in the big cities, but I know, for example, because I've talked to some folks, like in some mixed to rural areas, like the further out you get from the city core, sometimes you get like signs, like the Nazi or the racist equivalent of kids showing up to class with bruises. Like stuff like that. Has anyone here ever like seen that from a neighbor where there was something they did that just didn't really make sense? Stephanie?
Unless as someone who grew up in a very rural area, I can agree. There's a lot of situations where you'll find people just in general who just get away with abuse on their children or their community in general.
What do you think about stuff like that?
Say that again.
Making stuff like that known, like trying to engage in an active community-based effort to report and track instances of whether we're talking like physical child abuse or like that like weird like clan culty shit they do sometimes, which I've heard from other people. Like sometimes, you know, like they'll open their door and you'll see like a flag pinned against the wall from inside the door frame, like shit like that. You know, do we want to raise to that level, like cracking down on that?
Yeah, so here's the question: is like, obviously, I mean, if you want to go into the culty shit, like, are you talking about like the Confederate flag? Is that where you're kind of getting at, or like the Nazi flag, or?
Well, that's tough, isn't it? Because if it was the Confederate flag, that'd be like a quarter of the country.
That's what I'm saying, is because like I grew up in an area where the Confederate flag was flown pretty often. Off the back of people's trucks, you know what I mean? So to what level do we go back and you know, do we go back and we police this?
Well, here in Philadelphia, the sensible answer to this, right, is the sensible answer to what Prime's major fucking worry was, which I was hoping to try and get into, right, is that the community doesn't, if you just throw shit out to the general public, if you put it in a Wall Street Journal article, right, you're much less likely to have a proportional response. And one of the most important things that you can do in your local communities is to create organizations that are designed to deal with these kinds of questions, that you can discuss it among yourselves and try and work out some kind of proportional response. If you think the kid's in danger, if you think that there's potentially a weird culty clanny group in your town, like, the people need to speak to each other and they need to work together, and you need to have community-led organizations that address these problems.
So sure, but here comes the question: is
Arminius, what the fuck has that ever happened?
When do we,
dude?
At what level?
Like, so you've gone off on my fucking chat all night.
Let me
seriously. And Stevie D, I think you had something you wanted to say previously.
Well, I'm new at this, so I'm just kind of listening in. But what exactly is the topic? I'm not sure what the debate is exactly.
Never mind. We'll catch up soon enough.
We're talking about whether Nazism is morally wrong.
Yeah.
Nazism morally wrong? Well, that's an obvious one.
No,
you'd think, but
I don't really hear going on.
DVD anti-fascist to the core. I knew it as soon as I saw it.
Because you ran a bunch of people off.
Let's go to Go ahead then.
Okay, real quick. So, Vaush, you can't just say no one knows their neighbors anymore, and then jump to like, has anyone seen in their neighborhoods like a door cracked open and a flag possibly? Like, you know why there's a problem in that, right? And
got him.
Not even with an open door. I mean, I've seen Confederate flags on people's yards.
I'm not talking about Confederate flags. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the vague idea of like the neighborhood, like the guy with the binoculars who thinks he knows what's going on, kind of a thing. Our little one has high functioning autism, and she has no fear with since she was 1.5, 2 years old, jumping off couches, climbing rocks, and falling.
Yes, there was.
And when we started taking her to preschool, we were like, "Oh my god!" Like people are going to see, like she has a scar right through her eyebrow. Shit. She gets bruises because she just jumps, and then she just laughs it off. She's tough as nails, and she goes off and keeps doing it. So the people who deal with her in the professional world, her preschool teachers, she goes to a specific preschool for kids on the spectrum. They, at the beginning we were like, explaining like, oh my God, she did this and this. And it felt like we were like that dude in the Kindergarten Cop, like, and I'm sure Chad's gonna be like, oh, this guy clearly beats his kids, whatever. But
I don't think you
feel kind of like that. No, I'm just saying when you drop off your kid and she's got like bruises all over one side. She's like, but like you see like the teachers, the professionals in this area, not the neighbor who thinks they can read a person just from like seeing bruises from like the door to the car in the driveway. Like the teachers are like, oh no, we get it. We understand, because they're dealing with her for 3 hours a day. And they're like, oh my God, she is just like running into walls. She is flying off the cliffs. She won't stop putting herself in danger because she still thinks it's funny. Like this girl's going to be like gold medal Olympics while, she's also the smartest person in the room everywhere she goes. She's fucking great. But, I'm just saying it's a little funny to be. I'm gonna cry. And it was her birthday. She just turned 4. A couple days ago. Anyway, the idea of just like saying like, oh, no one knows their neighbors, but then like also kind of like that weird like little implication of like, has anyone seen things in the neighborhood? It's just kind of a weird, like you see the problems in like what kind of, I'm not saying you were proposing that, but like,
well, I mean that's why I said you need community-led organizations, right? The kind of expertise that you're talking about with teachers is something that is gained over time. The teachers gain that expertise by doing the work and looking after children, and that's something that you just have to build up, right? Like, people don't get shit right all the time, and people, the cops don't fucking get shit right all the time, right? But the longer you do it, and the stronger your community, the more accurate the information that you're acting on, the better decisions that you can make, and the better decisions you will make over time.
Right,
and then we should all know our neighbors a bit better than we do now, certainly, right?
Yeah.
So my question to you, Vaush, is actually, what is the level of degree? Like, what do you think that there should be some, like a lawful injunction if you see a Confederate flag or a Nazi flag in the back of somebody's like, living room, and they have kids and they're indoctrinating them into that system? Because that is the First Amendment. You know what I mean? Like, you're allowed to teach.
No, you can't involve the law in any of this.
Mm-hmm.
No, certainly not.
Okay.
Also, I don't know what the limit is. I was just asking. Well, because I think there's a big difference between social
in a very extreme case that could potentially put children in harm's way.
Well, what about? So here's an example, and you can see where everyone lands on this one. There was the Nazi cake or Hitler cake situation years ago, where a family, had a birthday cake and it had some sort of like, I think, a Nazi. But the name of the person, right, was like Adolf or some shit like that, right? Or Heimler, right? Yeah, and like the parents had named their kids after these people, right? As far as I know,
should be taken away from their parents.
As far as I know,
I agree.
Right? And I could be corrected on this, but as far as I know, that other than doing that, like, we hadn't known like them doing anything else. Right, and let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that they haven't done anything else. That they simply were fans of this ideology and they named their kids that. Right, like
those kids should be removed from their parents. If they have a 100%. Fucking Nazi flag flying in their house, those kids should be removed from their parents.
Wait. You can make the argument
Confederate flag, maybe not so much. Okay, I realize there's a lot of fucking diversity of idiocy in the South, but like an actual fucking swastika, those kids should be removed from their parents. And I would much rather that the community be able to deal with it, but we don't have the strong community-led organizations to be able to protect kids. Sometimes it is necessary for the state to step in and remove children from their parents at this current time. I would rather it wasn't in future, but yeah.
Wait, yeah. If you name your child Himmler.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you try to do that,
if you name your child after Heinrich Himmler, you lose your kids.
So, as I understand it, when Child Protective Services, which is, by the way, a terrible organization, they do a terrible job. I don't know why they do, but I know they do.
You need more funding there.
I'm sure it could be a million things, I imagine. But regardless, when Child Protective Services analyzes a case, they aren't looking for things that could accrue criminal charges. They're just looking for signs of, or I guess a direct indication of, like, poor treatment of the children. So I don't think there should be anything criminally, problematic, I think, with naming your kid Adolf and having them dress up in Hitler uniforms or whatever. But I do think that would give CPS more than enough grounds to come and yoink that kid away. Because at that point, you're demonstrating a callous disregard for that child's well-being, both ideologically and also with regards to how the world will see them. And I think at that point, they would have a very, very good case.
That's already something that happens with CPS. They can, as a matter of fact, I can only speak for Arizona, but in Arizona, they can pull a child from the home for what they deem harmful ideology, and that's how they refer to it, as harmful ideology.
That's fine, right? I mean,
wait, sorry.
But it gives the state too much power, and they can use it also to say, oh, the harmful ideology is they don't like CPS.
Wait. I have to respond to that because not all of these types of state invocations are the same. What if there was a little girl who was being raised by a family who was telling her that it was the job of women to be raped by men? If CPS caught on to that, don't you think there would be a good... Because that's an ideology right there. Fundamentally, all we're really talking about is political differences. And I think it's a very heinous political difference, but I think you and I would probably agree that at that point CPS would have a strong right to remove that child.
I would absolutely advocate for it, 100%. By the way, I'm very left, so I'm probably pretty close to you on ideology.
I mean, that's not even a particularly extremist ideology among like fundamentalist Christians in the United States.
Honestly, not that far off from some fairly mainstream ideologies.
Here's the issue that I feel like we would fall into with this situation is where I don't disagree with you on your last statement. I will say that we think. We like to consider all of us as like rational beings, but there are people who are probably part of CPS who are also like QAnon. So if you teach them left-wing ideology, if you can just base it off of your like political leanings, I feel that I don't like this.
But that's an argument against every law ever, right? Because then if you have like a bad judge or a police officer, then they could use any pretense for any action ever in a bad faith way.
Point is that we need to be very conscious of the organizations that have power, and the more power they have, the more that they can invade into our lives, the more transparent that we need to try and make them, so that we can hold them to account. And ultimately, we should have our own community-led organizations to supersede that power and deal with the problem ourselves.
I'd like to raise a point I just want to make this point just real quick. I'm sorry. Vaush, you were saying that you think that if the state found out that a child was led down a certain ideology, that it would be responsible of the states who take that child away. Was that correct? Is that what you said?
Right. If it was a severe enough ideology and they were indoctrinating the kid into it in a way that CPS found to be destructive to the child's health.
Okay, so I'm coming at this from a completely different perspective, obviously. I live in Philadelphia, and I keep on saying this, there's a
where do you live?
Right. No. But the point I'm trying to make is, okay, so say there is a black family and they teach their kids, and I don't agree with this at all, but I have seen it happen. They teach their kid that, the white man is evil. The white man is the devil, and you should avoid him at all costs. We have to stay in the black community. But at that point, does the state have the right to come take the child from the family because they deem that ideology to be dangerous, a dangerous ideology? I mean,
I think that's getting to the thing I've been trying to say for like 20 minutes. Prime, you were nodding your head, looking like you were kind of agreeing with Viv when she was like, "Yeah, at a certain level, you take the kids away."
I didn't make any.
Oh, you looked okay. You looked like you were nodding, and I was unsure. That's why I kept saying, "Prime, do you agree? Prime, do you agree?" If we back out of like Robert Paxton, let's back up from Nazis and just go to fascism. And I know we don't want to get into a fascism thing. Chat, shut the fuck up. Don't worry, we're not going to get there. But
I already did this once with Vaush. It was bad.
Paxton says you don't listen to what they say. You go by what they do. And if we did that on the left on a bigger level, we would get better results. You don't go by what these fucking people say, because they can say anything, and hypocrisy is not a problem for them. Someone else, I think the orange Band-Aid said something about like, I don't see these people as like they're just idiots and I ignore them. You can ignore them all you want. They say these dumb things. They're strengthening their base. They're pulling the idiots in the middle who aren't sure where they're going. So you can't really ignore them. But if you respond, they gain more power. It's the problem with the thing.
You're correct on that, Arminius. They do.
If we just go by what they say, and that's why I think you and Viv were having this huge argument. I think you both basically agree, but I think you were more worried about what they say memeing having more weight, and Viv is seeing that as leading to real world consequences. And you guys are trying to like fight somewhere in the middle between those two ideas.
If I can kind of quickly respond,
I have a question.
I don't have a late night mod.
I maybe somewhat misspoke when I said ignore them, because to be fair, I did say how I am aware of what they say. I'm aware of what the headline stories are, so I'm vaguely aware of what is going on.
You just said
I do kind of
yeah, but you also equated Carl Chapman with Steven Crowder, so I just don't think your opinion matters on that fucking issue.
Can Vaush respond to my question about the black kids, the black family, and the kids being taken away? Just real quick.
Yeah.
Sure. Are you asking me? Because my answer to that is obviously yes. But to put it simple, I honestly think that there's a lot of relevant context. For example, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable with the CPS intervening and taking a kid away if they found out that a household was like racist. Like the parents are like, yeah, black people suck, you know. Now, obviously, I think that's abhorrent. The problem is I feel like that's a threshold that would be potentially really difficult to
malleable
find balancing art. Yeah, it's very malleable. But so if there was a black kid being raised and it was like, oh, you know, white devil, keep in black neighborhoods, I don't know if that would be, I don't think I would find that justifiable. But if they were being raised, for example, as like a hardcore like Nation of Islam member or like New Black Panther Party, which are like radical like anti-Semitic, anti-white, essentially reverse, you know, bizarro world neo-Nazi orgs, and they were being like, you know, being given the uniform and taught chants and stuff like that. There's a degree of indoctrination that goes beyond just the ideology, and it starts to get into this like cult mentality or association with real orgs, and at that point I think you'd have a stronger case, but I don't think there's a hard line.
And there's a thing with like, for those of us on the panel that have kids, there's a time and place where we don't have our kids anymore. It's when they go to school. And if we're racist shitheads at the house, you know, we give the kids have these opportunities, hopefully public education, private, whatever it is. Like, that's why we need to put more money into it. They actually can like learn and see things like, you know what, mom and dad might not be so right about these things, you know,
unless they're
like,
homeschooled.
Well, yeah, and
which quite a few of them are.
One point to that is those kids also could go to school and perpetuate that racist ideology or act on it because they're young and they don't have as much understanding about the social order of things and decide to like be violent, you know, right? If they're being raised in those kinds of environments.
Okay,
but hold on. But like for those children, like, did we know that any of that was the case? Right? Like,
wait, what children?
The children got taken away for the cake thing, right? And again, so and I stipulated at the top because this is a long time ago. I don't have the fucking details of the case top of mind.
Yeah. I think it was more than the cake thing, Prime. I think there was some other issues going on there, if I remember right. It was a long time ago, but
yeah. But stipulating that if they just did that, they've named their kids, you know, after Nazi officials, and they hadn't taken any other actions. Of course, they're going to be indoctrinating the kids. Obviously, they're going to be telling their kids that, you know, this was something beneficial, something that they should be looking up to, right? But
yeah. Sorry, I just looked it up and I do remember this case. Okay. So they were basically arrested and put in prison 6 years and 6 months and 5 years respectively.
Where was this at?
Male first, female second. It's here in the UK. They were members of National Action, which is a prescribed terror group here in the United Kingdom. So, like, the children were taken away for far more reasons than just like they called their kid Hitler and had a birthday cake.
Hold on. This was in the UK. I thought this was in the States, New Jersey. I thought this happened actually.
A lot of Nazis out there.
Maybe we're talking about two separate cases, but that's the one that I remembered. Was the National
Was there a cake involved? Like that's where, because what happened was in the case I'm talking about very quickly, that there was a cake, and if I'm remembering the timeline correctly, like on the cake it was like "Happy Birthday," like Heimler or something like that, right? And then someone reported it, and then that's what started all this. In the case we're talking.
Kid's name was Adolf, I think. I do remember.
Loses custody of son named Adolf Hitler. The New Jersey parents who gave their children there's a long ass fucking article.
I know this conversation, but to be fair, this motherfucker, when he was trying to get his kids back, he literally showed up in an SS uniform. Like he's
That is on some shit.
No,
the 4-year-old child was also cursing and threatening violence to people too at 4. Like, I mean, it sounds like he was being indoctrinated to commit acts of violence on people and to perpetuate violence. So that's where I draw the line. Like, if you're going to do that, then no, you shouldn't have your fucking kids. Sorry, dude.
Okay, that's your line. Okay, fair enough. Now, to everyone else, he just named the kid, right? And the kid didn't do all that other stuff, right? Just named the kid and was teaching them that ideology. Should that be enough?
No.
Yes. Yes?
I don't. Okay,
no. I don't think so. I don't think so because it's their kid. You know, you don't want to tell nobody what to do with a kid. You will look at the kid weird for having that fucking name, and you'll be thinking like all types of thoughts. But I wouldn't necessarily take their kid away.
If it results in the perpetuation of violence, that kid's gone, baby. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. If you name your kid after a genocidal maniac and teach them the ideology of genocide, yeah, you should have your fucking kid taken away. Holy shit, this shouldn't be controversial.
That's the perpetuation of violence. Yep, absolutely, 100.
Okay, so this is what I'm trying to break down real quick. Is the only issue I have with this is the CDS system, active service system, is not great. When you take away people from their children, or not people from their children, but children away from their parents, and not in every circumstance, but a good piece of it, you send them to homes that are potentially dangerous. You potentially I won't say surveillance, but dangerous and possibly an issue for the child itself. So I'm sorry, but if a child is being taught racism, but isn't being abused versus like the CPS system where they won't maybe not get taught racism, but will be abused, I don't know.
As somebody who grew up in,
even though they're not being abused,
as somebody who grew up in care, right?
Can I get some cameras on? There were too many off cameras.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm not
putting
your hands
get out of here.
I do want to apologize. I'm trying to turn on my camera.
As somebody who grew up in care, okay, I was in a whole shitload of children's homes, foster homes, blah 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 blah, right? And some of them were bad. Some of them were shit. There was a lot of stuff that happened during my childhood that was not fucking cool.
Of course.
The answer to your question is yes, they should be taken away from their fucking parents.
Jesus Christ.
No, here's my thing.
Now, because that's not always going to be the case, right? No, you're rolling the dice when you take kids away from their parents. Maybe they do get put in some foster home where they get abused, right? But they're currently in a place where they are being abused, and so removing them from that situation, you want to try and put them somewhere where they're not being abused. You're hoping that you're going to put them somewhere where they're not being abused. That's a chance for them to not be abused, rather than leaving them somewhere where they will be abused, where they are being abused.
Okay, so
I feel like it's an almost meaningless distinction, because I'm sure an investigation would find that 99% of the time, if a child is being taught Nazi ideology and is being named after Nazi, they're probably also being abused in much more direct ways. Right? These are not healthy households doing this, right? I mean, they're probably we see the surface of it, but I don't think they're getting a healthy upbringing. Like aside from that,
desperate.
Of course, but I'm going back to you, Vaush, on your like the Confederate flag or the Nazi flag in the background. Like, I have known, and this is anecdotal, so I apologize, but I have known families and people who on they don't bring those things up. They just hang them around their wall, and technically that is a form of racism, right? Like, you're enforcing the idea that I'm going to go with
you have to make this distinction, right? Because we already said Confederate flag, or at least I said, and I think Vaush probably agrees with me, that Confederate flag, there's a lot of dumb fuckery in the South. Not everybody who's using the Confederate flag is a top level ridiculous fucking racist. Some of them are just ignorant and dumb, right?
Sure.
But an actual fucking swastika, right? That's a different matter. So,
no, of course, and this is somebody, and I'm gonna
why do we always do that? Why do we always say the Confederate flag is less bad than the Nazi flag?
That's well, no, I don't. I don't care. Like, I agree.
Bad. They are equally as bad. They both are horrible injustices.
From our perspective, Jason, I agree with you. I agree with
I'm not even disagreeing with you.
From our perspective, they are absolutely equally as bad. I agree with you. Okay, the South fought for fucking slavery, despicable. However, from the perspective of some of the people that have those flags, right? If you have a Nazi flag, you are explicitly advocating for genocide, and you know that that is what you are doing. If you have a Confederate flag, you could be some dumb fuck, Southern pride, mildly racist fucking idiot, where you're not necessarily.
I'm not buying that argument anymore. It's too long past that.
No, wait, hold on. Wait, we're not downplaying the Confederate flag or nothing. It's just we're looking for indications as to a person's behavior with regards to how they raise their kids. You know?
Yeah,
exactly. It's like
that's my point.
Wait, the Confederate flag is that. I'm sorry.
Like Stalin,
it is that.
No, I think.
No, I think Stalin.
It's really not.
Oh my god! Holy shit! Let him finish.
I think Stalin is what some political scientists might call giga cringe. Okay, dude killed a lot of people. You know. Up there in Hitler numbers, maybe even more. I forget actually right now. It's up there, okay?
You got your black book handy?
But when people fly around the USSR flag, they're not saying, I support the mass genocide of Eastern Europeans and the gulagging of gays. Maybe some of them do, but it's really about what we consider the flag to mean, not so much the actual thing represented by the flag, you know? Like, for example, if all human civilization was wiped out, and 1,000 years from now, folks are flying the Confederate flag, not because they know what the Confederacy is, but because it's pretty, and they found a lot of it while digging through Mississippi ruins, you know? We couldn't then, as ghosts, like, judge them, like, their character for that, even if we know the iconography is still representing something atrocious.
You could say the same thing about the Nazi flag if nobody was around from when that happened.
Sure, yes, if nobody knew anything about the Nazis and then they were flying a Nazi flag, like to that person, it would just be a flag, right? It wouldn't indicate anything about their character or propensity.
But that's precisely the point I made. However, right, is that everybody who flies a fucking swastika knows exactly what they're fucking standing for.
Exactly.
Whereas with the Confederate flag, it's a little more murky for some people, and those people are fucking idiots. Don't get me wrong.
It's not murky.
Right?
They know
but
what
it's
the
a little
fuck
more
is.
murky for them.
No,
that's
not true. That's not true.
I don't buy that. We're too far past that shit.
Society agree on something, that means it has to be correct.
Well,
I just
every
person
let me speak, Vaush,
who flies a swastika or a Nazi flag believes the Jewish question and genocide. That's like 99.9. But if I
no.
How many non-racists?
I will say, okay, look.
If I ask every person with a Confederate flag, do you believe in like the mass enslavement of black people? Like, and I could somehow know if they were telling the truth. I don't think it'd be every one of them. It'd probably be like 1 in 10, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, how many would drop the N-bomb after that? How many would be like, I don't give a shit. I love them N-bombs. You know,
they're not racist.
Put it to you guys this way.
That's a perpetuation of violence. That's what I'm saying. It's still a perpetuation of violence.
Okay, yes, but
there's a difference. That same ideology as with the Nazi flag to the Jewish community, right? It's the same
but
thing.
there is but in regards to how you teach your kids and what you teach your kids and what you're actually advocating for and what you actually believe, I think we can definitely say that there are fucking degrees, right? And everybody who is flying the swastika is advocating actual fucking genocide and knows that they are doing so. Whereas everybody who has a Confederate flag somewhere in their house or whatever, like, this is not that's not the same for a lot of them. They don't believe that. They might be dumb fuck racists even, right? But like, they might just think that black people are a little bit dumb, or that they commit more crime or whatever. All heinous fucking beliefs, but not on the same level as like actual fucking Nazism.
You've come across.
I would just add that like I live in Minnesota, very liberal state. I have liberal friends. They will have like the Confederate like little shitty like car sticker on their truck, and they just think it's Southern pride. And that's all they know the Confederate flag of.
Yeah,
and that's because that's what their parents taught them, And I've had many arguments with people online where they're like, no, the Confederate flag just means Southern pride. It's not racist at all.
But
so
if they've been
some of those people
by
justify the Confederate flag.
as you, if they've been educated by somebody as high-minded as you, and they're still flashing it, then no, they're fucking racist.
The next Jason, it's a little bit more like complex, and it's just people being fucking stubborn.
It's not
in most
more
cases.
complex than that.
Come on, man.
What's happening is if there would have been people in Germany after Hitler that came with this apologia for Nazism that was like, oh yeah, they just want to talk about their old heritage, then this would be allowed in Germany. But because rightfully so, people didn't allow that in Germany, it's not allowed today. But here in America, because the country we live in, there's dumb fucks that say, oh no, these people don't harbor these ideas. They just want to care about their heritage that lasted for a couple of years that most of them have absolutely no connection to. It's ridiculous.
You're absolutely
and you do
right,
realize
the
flag that's being flown right now, it was from the Southern strategy, was an effort to demur civil rights in the United States. That was the whole fucking purpose of that fucking flag. The whole purpose of that flag is fucking oppression.
We all agree.
We're gonna keep talking past each other. Wait, we're gonna keep talking past each other. Nobody here is arguing that A, the Confederacy is like some mystery society that nobody knows about, or B, that the Confederacy wasn't monstrous. We are only saying that you can infer more harm from a person's character if they fly the Nazi flag than if they fly the Confederate flag in this country in this time.
Yeah, you might feel
even if the harmful meaning of the Confederate flag is fucking obvious, and any reasonable person should know that they're supporting a slave state, a lot of people, for reasons that confound me to this day, genuinely don't think of it that way. They think of it that when you tell them,
you just allow them to say dumb shit. They do feel less of black people. Just like
the first people that will drop the N-bomb. That's harmful.
Just like people with swastikas feel less about Jewish people. You just have this apologist attitude towards them.
This is so dumb. Okay, the idea that a person who has the Confederate flag on their pickup truck is saying the exact same thing about their ideology as a person who flies a Nazi flag in their home is patently ridiculous. Yes, people who fly the Confederate flag tend to be racist. I know. I've spent plenty of time in Florida and Alabama. I feel like you keep responding with like, yeah, but it's bad. We know it's bad.
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm
saying. Is that with regards to the Confederate flag, there are strong counter-narratives describing other ways of interpreting it that I disagree with, but that nonetheless influence.
Why do those counter-narratives exist?
Wait, hold on. Can I finish the thought, please?
You're cycling, right? But go ahead and do it again.
Cycling. There are other interpretations people have, and a lot of these like Confederate flying types, when you tell them like, oh, this means you support a slave state, it's like what Americans will say when like ultra lefties walk up to them and they're like, by flying the American flag, you're supporting this genocide, this genocide, this genocide, like you're supporting the native genocide. You realize we genocided the natives, right? We killed quite a few people ourselves, but I don't think flying the American flag means a person is like, yeah, I'm in favor of killing native people. I don't think those are exactly the same extent with one another. I'm only saying that even though the American flag is an emblem of many monstrous deeds, people still don't fly it for that reason.
Okay, this is
I'm native. I fly the American flag in my other house.
I want to respond. This is why this is ridiculous. The American flag wasn't constructed in order to suppress the natives. Now that's exactly what happened, but it wasn't constructed with that theme in mind. The
Have
Confederate
you not read? No bullshit. Have you not read the fucking Declaration of Independence? The was it ruthless Indian savages or whatever? Get the fuck out, mate. Absolutely, it was founded on the idea
native
that it was
genocide is like the core of the United States founding. That's our it's that and slavery. It's our blood. But if you saw a person with the American flag,
we're ignoring all of the Like we're making it sound like the Holocaust is worse.
Slavery happened under the American flag too. We did that. The Confederacy did it, but the American flag did it much longer. So I'm only saying when it comes to.
But there was one flag that openly and divergently tried to split off from the country to perpetuate that same violence of slavery.
Exactly.
We agree with you, and we keep.
No, you don't, because you have this apologetic attitude.
Gambit, will you shut the fuck up?
It's
no, you shut up.
It's not. It's not
just circling and saying the same
holy,
shit.
Holy fuck.
What happened is you know some white people who you think are abhorrent. So you're apologizing
about. Are you actually fucking serious? I do not. Wait, I don't know. Wait, I live.
Vivian's turn, please.
I live in the United fucking Kingdom, you dumb fuck. I don't know a single. Okay, cool. I don't know a single fucking white person who flies the Confederate flag. Okay, every single person who I've ever met or spoken to, right, who flies a Confederate flag has been from the United States, and they've been a racist fucking piece of shit. However, I have spent like a significant portion of my adult life getting myself familiar with these fucking issues, and I do realize and recognize that, like Vaush and I keep saying, although the Confederate flag is absolutely fucking reprehensible and represents slavery, and the Confederate state was absolutely a fucking slave state, right? And the Confederate flag represents a fight for fucking slavery. Okay, we all get that. We recognize that. It's fucking reprehensible.
Not asking you, do you get that?
There are.
For some reason, you and Vaush keep thinking I'm asking you, do you get that?
Okay. Well, here. Let me put it another way. Are you trying to assert, right, that absolutely
well, if you let me talk and stop interrupting, I can tell you what
who's interrupting right now?
I was talking,
or is it you?
Actually, I was talking at the Vaush.
Is it me or is it you? Who's interrupting right now?
Okay. I'll decide. I will decide. Everyone stop talking. I will decide. Vivian, finish your point. Then I'm going to go straight to Gambit. Gambit, you talk to Vaush, whatever, right? Go.
Thank you so much. Okay, so, because we seem to be having this disconnect, it seems to me that you are asserting that absolutely everybody who has or uses or displays a Confederate flag in the United States, right, is advocating for slavery and knowingly advocating for slavery. That is their belief. They want to enslave black people. Is that what you are saying?
No, and I've never said that. I've never even said anything close.
Slavery is abhorrent.
Okay, then how is it the fucking same as the Nazi flag?
The most disadvantaged by that
there are people in Germany who could have this same thought that say, "Hey, I'm not flying this because no, you can't say that.
I can say that.
You literally can't say that.
Everybody
knowledge. So you see how I let you talk? You remember how I let you talk?
Go for it then.
You can bite that.
She never shuts the fuck up. This happens every time. Shut the fuck up.
There are probably
Vaush jumped in. Okay, go ahead.
Some people who fly Nazi flags because they saw it from an anime they really liked. Okay, I'm gonna guess that's a tiny minority of them. I'm gonna guess the vast majority of people with Nazi iconography are explicitly pro-Holocaust, pro-Jewish question, blah blah blah, and a minority of people with a Confederate flag want to reenact slavery. That would be my guess. I think that's a reasonable thing to believe.
The South will rise again.
Gambit. No one talk. I want Gambit to finish his thoughts, please.
Yeah, so fortunately, after Nazi Germany and Hitler, there were people that understood that, yeah, there are going to be dumb fucks that say, hey, I'm flying this for my heritage, but that's more destructive to allow in Germany than it is to just outright ban it. But here in America, we have white people and we have white people abroad that say, oh, no, we're going to allow this apologia so that this thing can continue. And we're going to act like what's actually going on isn't going on. So I'm not saying that everyone who flies it today is a racist. But the reason this tradition started and the reason it was continued was for racist ideals. Now, because we're generations later, potentially there's a minority of people who actually feel that way. This also could have happened in Nazi Germany, but we said, hey, this thing is so reprehensible that we don't even want that to happen. We don't want later generations of people to be able to claim, no, I'm not flying this out of hate. I'm flying this. I still love Jewish people. It's just that, I like to remember my heritage back when Hitler was in charge, right? But this is what white supremacist apologists do. They say, hey, it's generations later. This thing obviously means all of the signals that it means, but just because we're generations later, we're going to act like it isn't what it is.
No, okay, I agree. We're not saying it doesn't mean that. We believe that it means that, but we're talking about what you can read from a person's behavior and intentions. I think the U.S. should have banned.
So, do you think it's possible? Do you think it's possible that someone in Germany could not harbor ill will towards Jews and have a swastika?
Yes, I think it's infinitely less likely than what we're talking about here with the Confederate.
Why is it infinitely less likely?
I would say, okay, the exception with public education
is why it's infinitely less likely.
Because it's actually illegal. It's actually illegal to fucking have a swastika. It's actually illegal to have a fucking swastika in Germany. You asked a question. I'm gonna fucking. You asked a question. I'm gonna fucking answer
it. And you jumped in again with some dumb shit.
Oh fuck you, dumb shit.
Take it out.
Holy fuck.
Everyone shut up. Gambit, go.
Yes, you understand that just because it's illegal or not doesn't change whether or not someone harbors ill will. The legality of it is a stupid. No, it doesn't.
Okay, wait, hold on. What percentage of people flying the Nazi flag do you think? Wait, what percentage of people flying the Nazi flag in the United States today do you think believe either the Holocaust didn't happen or was justified, Jewish people, blah, blah, blah? Like, how many do you think buy into the full ideological program of the Nazis? Give me a rough. Do you think is it 9 and 10?
I don't interact with those people. Okay. I don't know if there's this community of them that are claiming. I don't hate Jewish people. I don't know because I literally don't engage with people that are Nazis, so I can't give you like some percentage. I'm not running away.
Okay, so you don't know anything about the issues. So why don't you shut the fuck up?
Wait, so I have interacted with a lot of Nazis, okay? And I can tell you, I have literally never met someone, and unless we're talking like Nazi swastika on your Steam Avi when you're 12 years old or whatever, outside of that, every single person who has ever worn any indication of Nazi iconography has fully bought the ideological program of the Nazi Party. I have also spent a lot of time in the South, and as much as I detest it, there are people who fly Confederate flags who... Don't get me wrong, a lot of them are really fucking racist. I don't think they want to reenact slavery. I think that...
It's not about wanting to just reenact slavery. It's bigger than that. They support the systems that we have today and the dangers and the harm that it causes to black people, and they fully support that. They don't have to claim that they want to reenact slavery.
That still want sundown towns. These are people that still want sundown towns. You understand that, right? These are the same people.
Hold on. The idea that everyone who's ever flown a Confederate flag in the United States wants a sundown town is an incredibly white take. Please chill, okay? If that was the case, then 3/4 of America would be shoot on sight for black people, okay? It's just not true. The Confederate flag is a hate symbol, and I hate it. However, because of successful propaganda programs on the part of former Confederate agents, it has been normalized to the extent that people can fly it without subscribing to the worst elements of the Confederate ideology.
And why is
the Nazi flag?
The thing is, there's no good elements to it.
The thing is, Gambit gets this. Gambit understands
I'm telling you, there's shit that white people will say to white people that they won't say to other people.
If I could extend an olive branch for half a fucking second. If I could extend an olive branch for half a fucking second, Gambit gets this. He understands this. The analogy he used is with the Nazi Germany thing. He said, if we'd let it go on for this long, maybe there would be a decent amount of people. He gets it. He understands it. Yes, immediately after the fucking war, anybody who supported flew the Confederate flag should have been denounced as a fucking traitor, right? Sure. And every Confederate flag should have been taken to an opposite, ripped in 4 pieces, fucking flown to the 4 corners of the United States and burned, right, and a big fucking celebration, and afterwards, right, there should have been a program of education to try and make sure that absolutely everybody in the United States knew what the Confederate flag stood for, right, and was against it. That is what happened in Nazi Germany. That was the process of denazification. That is why the fact that the swastika is illegal in Germany is relevant to my point, is because it is a symbol of the program of education for the populace on what the swastika means.
And brother, thank you very much for subscribing too.
It shows us that happened. So that hasn't happened in the United States. That didn't happen. So you recognize, and you said it yourself, that there are people who don't think that way about the Confederate flag. I don't even know what we're arguing about. It does matter when we're talking about whose kids we should be taken away for. It matters when we're talking about whose kids should be taken away for flying what flag.
I'm not talking about that, but what we're talking about right now
is what we were fucking talking about, you dweeb.
No, I didn't say
this is what we were talking about.
Talking about right now. So what I'm talking about right now is we can look at the erection of all of these Confederate statues during the 60s. Like, this is a generation ago. These people understand what the Confederate flag means. We understand what the Confederate statues mean. All of these things mean the same thing. But for some reason, there's this apologia for this, which is weird.
Apologia for this.
The reality of the situation is that when black people see the Confederate flag,
engaging in apologia for the Confederacy.
I would say that there is no apology for it.
There is. Okay. There's apologia.
Societal, not you guys. Societal, not you guys.
Go ahead.
Oh, Jesus.
STV, go ahead. Your turn.
Okay, so the reality of the situation, I'm sorry, is that when black people see the Confederate flag, that their minds flash to one thing about that person, whether it be right or wrong, and there's a reason that those images conjure certain thoughts in 13-14% of the population in this country.
It's like fucking scream.
Should kids be taken away for flying the flag? No, but let's not pretend that the Confederate flag is something that it's not. We know what it means. We know what it represents, and there's a strong movement now to erase all of that type of
awesome, Beer Bash.
show of appreciation or support for that cause. Which we all know what the okay. Yeah. So what's the argument here
about whether we should take the kid flag?
If there's any. So there is apologia for the Confederate flag, right? It exists in the United States. It does not exist in this chat, all right? Neither me nor Vaush are apologizing for the fucking Confederate flag. I mean,
I completely disagree.
I mean, Vaush could be a fucking racist for all I know. But like, I'm not apologizing for the Confederate flag, okay? It is a symbol of slavery. It's a symbol of fucking hatred.
That's absolutely not.
Yeah, and
there were other flags before that flag.
Hatred, the symbol of there's people that march with the symbol of hatred and the symbol of racism, some kind of way. Yeah, they're all just great people. Yeah, exactly.
Hold on.
People who ferociously advocate for that Confederate flag and that ideology should absolutely fucking lose their kids. What the fuck?
Hold on, wait. I can hold on. We're talking about Confederate ideology, and I can be way the fuck meter here. Okay, if you unironically think that anybody here has said, yeah, they're all great people, then you need to go just go dip your head in absinthe or something. Okay, do something to clear the gunk out of your ears. You are not listening to a single goddamn word we were saying because you were too triggered to understand the point that's being made.
I'm not triggered.
The argument that we are making is not about the harm caused by the societies the flag represents.
I didn't say it was.
Hold on. Because if we wanted to do that, flying the U.S. flag would be the worst thing we could do. And I have to wonder, I've talked to a fair number.
You said you're not looping.
Hold on. I've talked to a fair number of indigenous people, and they don't have the most positive opinions of the flag. As Viv pointed out, the Declaration of Independence specifically calls for the genocide and dehumanization of Native people. That's a founding document. We've had 250 years to enact more political power than any society that has ever existed in all of human history. Do you not think there are groups of people out there in the world who might consider the expression of the American flag to be every bit as tyrannical as what we might now consider the Confederate flag? All the countries we've invaded, the dictators we've installed in face of democratic leaders. But if anyone were to come to you and say, yeah, because of all that, I think you flying an American flag basically means that you're on board with all that. You support it. That's your ideology. And you
said I would disagree with that,
so you're equating the Confederate flag with the American flag. That's what you're doing.
Let Vaush finish, and then you can respond.
Yeah, far more slaves lived and died under the American flag than ever did under the Confederate. The only point that I'm making is that we're not judging this by how bad the societies actually were, only by how much can we ascribe negativity from the person flying the flag. And based on my experiences with people who fly the Confederate flag, I do believe they are far less likely to adopt the ideology of the Confederacy than people who fly the Nazi flag are of the Nazis. And I know that not everyone who flies the American flag is pro-native genocide. I imagine a very small portion of them are.
But you know that's not true, Vaush. You know that's not true.
Nothing that I just said is Confederate apology.
Yeah, I get it.
Nothing.
Wait. Calm down. We can barely understand you.
Nothing that I've said right there is Confederate apologia. The Confederacy was monstrous. The people who support it were monstrous.
You said it's arbitrary rule to have your view, which is silly. What you just said is, well, I think more people that identify with the Nazi flag are more hateful than the amount of people that identify with the Confederate flag. That doesn't mean that the Confederate flag is okay. You can't say that.
No one's saying that. No one's saying that.
Oh man,
idiots!
You know what? I'm so glad you came in to school me because I thought that.
Oh, he's clipping so bad because he's yelling so fucking loud. GSU is fucking pissed.
My whole career.
And I really pissed him off last night.
Okay. Gambit, you may not be aware, but your mic cuts out when people are talking at the same time as you. So we didn't hear. I know you're like schooling Viv, and I appreciate that very much.
Viv, did you know you were pro-slavery?
Do you know what? Like, it's
I don't know. Maybe that will work, right? Maybe if it shuts the hell up, you'll hear me.
I don't know. Maybe if you could stop saying such blatantly fucking stupid things.
No,
you've detracted from the
this is so dumb. You're so dumb.
Which was I don't know about that, mate. I'll let the audience judge.
We all just agree that we're anti-Confederacy here and stop having people pretend.
No, listen. All right, so I'm never gonna be able to talk.
Oh, now you want to back up, Vaush. Now you want to back up.
Yeah, I can
never argued that.
I'm just kidding.
So I'm trying to finish.
I can't tell that was serious.
Finish.
Just season the tension, baby. Just season the tension.
Finish.
When I said okay, you dumb idiots thought I was saying that you were saying the flag was okay. I wasn't. What I was saying is you are saying that people displaying it, using it, and all of this bullshit apologia for heritage when it was 4 years when they erected this nation to go to be traitors to the United States to support slavery. So I wasn't saying you are okay with the flag, idiot. I was saying that you're okay with others doing it, and it would be
no, we're not. I explicitly
yes, you
said,
are.
No, Gambit, shut the fuck up. I explicitly
this is so dumb.
Explicitly said nobody should fly the Confederate flag. I said
yes, but your prescription is people can do it, and there's new people who feel the same way.
No,
I mean they legally can, unfortunately.
All right, 5 people.
Go ahead and go to a Trump rally and see how many of those Trumpers are totally in agreement with doing some fucking horrible ass shit to black people.
You can respond. I do want to let other people in. There are 2 other people I think we're trying to get in.
I'm just gonna stop.
Let me make it super fucking clear. Morally, nobody should fly the Confederate flag. It is a symbol of hate and slavery for like the 3rd or 4th fucking time during this conversation. Gambit, this conversation.
That's not what I'm asking you. You're literally running away from what I'm asking.
What
this
is
what
you're asking then?
Quit running, Viv.
Can I answer what he's asking? Okay, so I understand that the Confederate symbol is a symbol of hate, but I understand why people would fly it for non-racist reasons, even though they're uneducated on why the flag is racist.
They aren't uneducated.
There's not people that's uneducated.
No,
they honestly, 100% in their heart of hearts think that the Confederate flag is just, oh, I have a pride of being a part of like the southern states of America, and that's what they believe in. And I've had many arguments on people online and in person that genuinely believe that flying the Confederate flag is like, oh, I'm proud to be part of the state of Georgia, and they fly that flag, and they have no idea.
It's dumb, but they do believe that.
No, I think the Nazi Party was amazing, and they wanted to do great things, and it just went bad. That's why I fly the flag.
You believe that?
It's not that.
You
it's not
believe that?
Nazi. It's that I think they were do great things. I think they were going to do
Hitler, the Nazi Party was pretty great, right?
No. I don't know why Gambit's so in support of the Nazi Party. This is fucking.
I would chill on that. You know, I mean, it was a socialist party.
I just want to say, every time I've talked to a person with Nazi iconography and they said that they weren't in favor of the Nazi Party, they did it by posting like the Pepe. They're like, of course I'm not. And then later it proved that they were. Whereas I've talked to literally dozens of people who fly Confederate flag shit about politics. And some of them are even like relatively progressive. Now, I'm not saying that the whole Southern pride shit is like good or justified or reasonable. It's not any of those things. It's incredibly dumb and bad. And it does normalize the damn flag.
Vaush.
No, not okay. You can. I don't know if you've ever left the suburb that you were born in. Okay,
I'm
but
from
trust
Arizona,
me.
man. I see Confederate
Arizona.
flags daily,
Okay, gotcha.
All over the fucking place, dude. It's
gotcha.
everywhere.
All right. Well, out of the Mason-Dixon line. You ever been south of it? You ever been in the south?
Yeah. I spent most of my summers in Louisiana when I was in high school because I was
okay.
in
And you're
trouble,
telling me that. Okay, how many Confederate flags did you see?
In Louisiana, I saw David Duke bumper stickers, bruh. I saw Confederate flags every fucking third house.
Of all the people who are flying them flags, do you think every last one of them is pro-slavery?
They said that.
I'm asking. That's what I want to hear it from them.
He said this. Why are you asking dumb questions? Nobody said
question. This. Hold on. Do you think
I said they're racist and they want to put black people on a lower level? Yes, I do believe that they want to put black people on a lower level. Whether you want to call that slavery,
no, hold on. We're talking. Wait, hold on. I'm not talking about. We're not talking about. Hold on. We're not talking about racism because I think that like 98% of America is racist, depending on where you draw that threshold. We're talking about whether they're pro-slavery. Because I'm not saying people who fly the Nazi flags
tried to move the conversation there, but
it's okay. Hold on.
Move the goalpost.
It's conversation.
It's going to be okay. Okay, take the stress ball. It'll be fine.
Copium.
So I'm not saying
you're just saying dumb shit.
I'm not saying people who fly the Nazi flag are racist. I'm saying they're Nazis. I'm not. If we just said like, "Oh, you're racist," oh yeah, of course, obviously. I'm heading a higher threshold than that. I'm saying people who fly the Nazi iconography are overwhelmingly Nazis. So I want to know: do you think the overwhelming majority of the people you saw flying them Confederate flags are Confederates, as in they want a secessionary movement in order to preserve the institution of slavery of black people? Do you think the majority of them want that specifically, that they think about that? It's something they advocate for. It's something they've thought of and consciously support. Do you believe that?
I think it's a false equivalency.
Sorry. Nobody answer the question, and then I want to let Reddit thought, and he's been having his hand up for like forever.
No, and nobody said that even like acted as if that's the case.
It's a false
equivalency. Okay, Reddit thought.
We're all missing like we're all missing huge chunks of like the nuance with each thing that we think we're coming in like super headstrong about. Like it's not about slavery now. It's not about that. Okay, like real quick, I had these points in my head like 30 minutes ago, but anyway. After World War II, guys, a whole world war, we condemned Nazis because the whole world said, fuck yeah, that's really fucking bad, right? The whole world, okay? World War, bad. Us, with our little war, Europe was like, well, we're going to have to back whoever the fuck wins, and we'll just go with that, you know? And then, you know, we saw like the repercussions of that with the 1812 war, you know, Spain, UK, all that shit. So, like,
wait, what? Wait, how do you persist?
Hold on, what I'm saying is after our war, after our, I'm just talking about like the outside world's perspective on things. So like after our Civil War, Like the rest of the world was like, yeah, okay, the North won, great. There was never any question that the North was going to win. By the way, holy fuck!
You mentioned 1912. So
I let him finish, please.
Yeah. Like, come on, seriously.
Hold on. So what I'm saying is, we're missing these giant. Like the whole world says Nazis bad, and now we have our own civil war, and then everyone just went with the winner. And the problem with the winners, the North, is that Reconstruction started happening, and then some bullshit happening. You got Rutherford B. Hayes as president with there was some questionable bullshit things going on with some of the ways he got into office by one vote, and there were like multiple submits from like certain Republican red states. But anyway, he ended Reconstruction, and what did we have, guys? Like Vaush and Vivian have been like going back and forth and just ignoring. Like we all know the lost cause, right? Do we know what the lost cause is, guys?
Yeah,
Thank you.
The Daughters of the Confederacy like made a whole bunch of like propaganda.
Yeah, it's a 150-year propaganda thing, and the reason why there's a disconnect from the beginning when Vaush is saying, "Do you think the people with the flag are thinking no?" Because the Lost Cause has done a great job of just sliding away a lot of the reasons why the Civil War happened. Because whatever, like when you have someone saying like, "Hey,
we said that."
No, I know you didn't say it, Viv. You guys missed like huge chunks.
No,
of shit.
I deliberately said that there was a long-standing propaganda campaign that made people think there are other reasons.
And you guys didn't really touch on it like very well. You just kind of skipped the whole thing.
I directly said it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We
so
didn't give
let
a
him finish, anyways. I mean, I know you guys got
Let
loud
him
mics
finish.
and you're supposed to be big
He's not
streamer,
gonna
big wheel deal, but I think he's trying to make a point.
Yeah,
so
it's not just about slavery, guys, and that's the whole point of what the Lost Cause did. It's not just the thing, and we all learned like 2 lines about what the fucking Lost Cause did. It wasn't just about slavery. Did you know that like gynecologists still go by like things that we found out from fucking torture from like red states and shit? The father of gynecology was a fucking like he
tortured black women.
Yes, with and without anesthesia. He burned Black John Brown, not White John Brown, who everyone gives the fucking fame to. Black John Brown, who ended up being a hero, marrying and living the rest of his life in fucking France, in Paris, like a king. Like, that guy was tortured, cut, blistered. He was hung over fires, and they were like, the whole idea of that was to see, like, oh, black people have thicker skin, and they won't feel pain. So we're going to test
Vivian, you defend this?
No, the point is what it represents. The flag, what that represents. Okay,
we know what the flag represents.
Slavery and hate are ambiguous fucking concepts, and you can just easily swat away. Like,
hey, I'm sorry we didn't go in depth into
fucking embarrassing.
I talked about the propaganda campaign that led people to believe there was another.
Yeah, but Vaush, you didn't give us a play-by-play, year-by-year of what that propaganda. Like, this literally came from both of us, especially me, saying if you have a Nazi flag in your house, right, then yeah, your kids should probably be taken away. If you have a Confederate flag in your house, it's like slightly muddier because we don't know what that specific individual believes or attributes.
Could that trigger an investigation, though? Should that be looked into?
Fuck yes. Maybe. Fuck yes.
I'm just making the point that Vaush earlier said that if a family is obviously supports the Nation of Islam and they dress up in the uniforms and they're selling bean pies, that those kids should be taken away. And I'm just saying that if on the flip side of that, now you're arguing that on the flip side, the kids with the different ideologies should not be taken away. It's like different standards for different people.
No, if the Confederate kids are being raised in some crazy cult where they're like, if it's not just them being raised racist, but it's like, yeah, you are a warrior of the South and you're going to train to kill them Yankees and get our country back so we can go ahead and put chains on them black folks. Yeah, if they were being taught shit like that, yeah, I want CPS to come and take a look at that. Absolutely I do. I never said otherwise. I only said the mere presence of the Confederate flag in the South, or hell, anywhere in the country these days, could range anything from being pro-Confederacy to being a slightly racist idiot who's just abstractly in favor of the aesthetics of Southern pride, despite the fact that they live in like Montana or something, which is something you can actually see if you go to Montana for some reason. Yeah, but I don't think that latter person should be held to the same standard.
Just last year outlawed killing Native American people. Up until last year, it was legal to kill Native American people in Montana.
You're not going to believe it, but I do actually think that America is racist. I know this is going to come as a shock to you, but that's actually a thing I do believe. Thank you.
True. No Seriously? Way. Never seen one of your shits before ever in my life.
So to summarize, Confederate flag bad, America racist. Like, I just don't know what other accusations we really have to like defend ourselves against.
How many people, Vivian? How many people has the American Empire killed compared to the Confederacy? We've got to be talking like an exponentially greater amount, right?
I mean, honestly, I don't even.
Well, one existed in a
How many
lot
people is the
shorter
Nation
time
of
than the
Islam
other.
killed? How many people is the Nation of Islam killed?
Well, my argument is that. Well, they killed Malcolm X, so that's one.
We got one.
That's a
We
big
got
one
one.
right there.
Okay, we got one.
Yeah, my argument is that it doesn't actually matter how bad the societies were. That's your argument. My argument is, what does it say about the people representing those organizations or those?
No, that's
flags?
my argument. If you are flying a Confederate flag, there is a high probability. Yes, there are going to be a couple people that don't know the meaning. But if you're flying a Confederate flag, there's a I'd say a 90% chance that you
what the meaning of the Confederate flag is. Wait, can you explain to me how you can objectively determine the meaning of the Confederate flag?
You can't. You can't.
Okay.
Just like you can't objectively define the Nation of Islam.
So what if to them they're aware of the bad history of the Confederacy, but to them they wear it as a symbol of Southern pride? It's not objectively wrong for them to do that.
Yeah,
in terms of the symbology of the flag, right?
Party as well.
No,
They're all Chinese flags anyways, because they're all made in China.
Okay. So if we can acknowledge that there are, so like when I think of like, why is a person flying the Confederate flag? I have like two reasons, right? They're pro-Confederacy, or something adjacent to it, or they're pro-Southern pride. If I see a person flying a Nazi flag, I really only have one explanation.
No, you should have two. They could be pro-Nazi party.
Really liked American History X,
We just wrap this around to the argument. If you're wearing no. This has to do with the actual argument here. Earlier, Vaush said that he would be pro taking kids away from black families that teach what I said earlier about the white man is the devil and all that.
If they were being indoctrinated into the cult.
But how would you know that though? How would you know that unless you did an investigation?
Is there a point in me talking if you're not going to listen? I specifically said being taught it isn't enough, but if there was a heavy cult-like element and a level of indoctrination that extended to being inducted into group memberships, that I think it's something CPS should look at. I said this specifically. Can you pull a recorder out? Do you have a phone? Can you so we don't have to keep doing this?
I feel like we don't have to go into this shit. Philly is being very good faith.
I said it. I said the words. Viv, I said those words, didn't I?
I'm just trying to get some consistency. That's what I want. That's all. I'm not trying to get you or
There's been consistency earlier in the conversation when they.
No, there has.
I'm with you, Vaush. I'm with you.
Okay, all right. I'll back off. I'm not trying to be, combative. I'm just
he made
interested.
He made the specific statement that just racism wasn't enough, right? Just being fucking racist wasn't enough.
That'd be like every American household.
For the government to take over?
What if they were overtly racist? What if they were overtly racist? I mean, like patently racist. Like they were like teaching their kids.
We need a racistometer, and we'd need to point it at them and figure it out. What do you mean? I don't know.
Like Ghostbusters and shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Most people, you probably stubbed your toe and said something bad. Okay, I'm not. Obviously, a lot of this is going to come down to really.
No, I've never stubbed my toe and said the N-word, Vaush. I've never stubbed my toe and said the N-word.
That is exactly what a person who had done that would say. That's exactly what a person who had done exactly that would say. To be fair.
Oh no! Okay, well, come on.
I'll say it, Vaush. I've never.
Oh come on! Have a second.
And been like, oh man,
hold on.
Chill. Jason, what were you gonna say?
Who
the fuck just screamed?
I don't even know.
I thought it was Prime first. That was so much authority.
Yeah, I thought it was Prime. Whoever the fuck
Who was the drill sergeant?
Channel, don't do that.
No, I respect it.
Pyro Tyrant.
Wait, chill.
No.
You're not doing that to me again.
No need to yell. No, thanks.
I'm just saying, you can accuse me of Confederate apologia. I can make a little toast stove joke, okay? It's not. It's
all. That was me that accused you of that, not whoever that was. That was me.
I wish my memory was better. I'm playing Diablo. I can't match voices to face.
I'm telling you, it was me.
Jason and Gambit were the ones leveling the accusations of Confederate apology. I don't know how serious Jason was, but
no, I was referring to more societal, not necessarily you guys. Okay.
Okay, well, I don't actually think you said the N-word.
I think there is
societal here. Yeah.
On a societal level, you're correct, and that is precisely why some people have a shit view of the Confederacy. Can we fucking move past this? I feel like both me and Vaush have like explained ourselves in about a million different fucking ways, made ourselves clear in the most explicit terms possible.
Apparently
anybody who still thinks that we...
Are you comfortable with your position on this? Are you comfortable to move on?
What's your objection here, Pyro? Apart from me being a dirty limey who lost the war in 1776.
I mean,
what's your...
what kind of fucking America right now?
To be honest, I just want to hear what Pirate Tyrant has to say. Like, one of my objections on this is like,
shut the hell up, he could talk.
When we're talking about like Confederate apology and whatnot, like, holy shit. I can understand why some people would say like doing that Confederate apologia and shit is as bad as the Nazis, or almost as bad. Like, I know that they didn't go full-fledged like we're gonna industrialize kill people, but like I can understand it. And like when it comes to the contents of like Confederate apologia, I'm not willing to be any type of sorry for them, like at all. Slavery, and like that's my baseline when it comes to fucking genocide.
No, your argument is that
it was industrialized genocide.
That's why I'm like waiting back and like
it wasn't just industrialized genocide.
That's
you know what else it was? It was industrialized.
No, I didn't say I had an objection. I just had
because they were making different fucking slaves, breed with different slaves to create stronger, bigger slaves to fucking work on the fucking farm.
That was one medic trying to moderate on that.
Yeah, I apologize. Are you fucking kidding me?
Channel, don't try and moderate. That's Prime's job, right? Fuck. Okay, so both me and Vaush have made ourselves very clear. Does anybody else in this chat still think that, like, either of us want to apologize for the Confederacy? You do.
Yes.
Okay. I don't care about what you think because you're obviously.
Of course you do.
Wait a minute.
Okay, come on. Yeah. Go ahead.
You want to like devil's advocate?
Period. Hasn't had it explained to them a million fucking times.
I think like 3 days ago, I did a segment that ended with us listening to the Southern Dixie song while laughing at the Vernon Sherman's Trail of Destruction down to the South. It's a good, but yeah, fuck it.
I gotta watch that video.
Apologia, it's out of you.
Damn you.
Yeah, I do. Hey, listen, I love Southern Apologia. Okay, and by Southern Apologia, I mean Sherman when he was in the South.
Pyro, fucking stop.
Well, no, like I'm serious. Like I joined in late.
Really
like I would like to.
I mean, I don't know about the South part of America, but the global South is fucking base as shit, dude.
I would just clearly like to hear Gambit's point because he seems like he's the only one that still has a problem. But like every time we're just talking over him, like that's not fair.
No, I mean I think it's crystal clear. I mean there are people that have this apology like Vaush does, and you know that's just how.
What am I apologizing for?
This idea that
everyone off the hook for being as bad as Nazis. You're letting them off the hook for being as bad as Nazis.
Who engages with this type of paraphernalia aren't terrible people, and they don't understand what they're doing, and that they're somehow incapacitated from understanding that, and they just like Southern pride.
That's what's ridiculous. Are you an American apologist?
Yes, for sure.
You are.
We all are.
Oh well, not the hypothetical.
We all are.
Expected, but...
Come on, Vaush. We all are American apologists.
Yes. We don't have a choice. We're conscripted into the
I'm not.
It's
Wow. Let Vaush speak.
Holy shit, guy. Hold on. Sorry. New guy. Stop that. Don't yell. Knock it off. Don't do it again. I'll throw you out. Stop it. Thank you. All right, but I appreciate your enthusiasm. Look,
there's a difference between apologia and acknowledging an objective fact. And the objective fact is that flying a Nazi flag indicates a higher likelihood that you subscribe to the ideology of the Nazis than flying a Confederate flag does, the ideology of the Confederacy.
No, I disagree with that.
Okay, so that's the only point being made here. Not that the Confederacy was good, it was very bad. Not that the Confederate apologia isn't on the same line as Nazi apologia, because I think it is. My only argument is, much in the same way that you guys probably don't associate the American flag with every negative thing America's ever done, but rather as a general, holistic representative of your
positive things that the Confederacy do.
I don't think you can
do that with the American flag is cringe, by the way. I think it's fucking gross.
Thank you, Wes. We all know you're very woke. We're not talking about anything positive the Confederacy does. I have never said the Confederacy has done anything positive at any point. I've never said that, okay? The only point I'm making is the one that I've already made.
Okay, so would you be okay if a lot of people started flying swastikas and all of that, and they were like, no, I just like the flag, and it's just beautiful, and it reminds me of the good old 30s and blah blah blah. That's okay. Ignorance.
Also not okay when they do it with Confederate flag.
Let me be specific about what okay is, because for some reason y'all can't understand that. When I'm okay, I'm saying that you're okay with others engaging in this under the guise that they're disconnected from disastrous.
I'm not okay with any of it.
No, this has to be the 5th, 6th, 7th time.
Okay. You're saying you're not okay with it, but you are.
Viv, you've already made it clear that you do believe that it's okay.
Shut up, Vaush, I'll fuck it. I swear to God.
The bottom line is, should a kid who is brought up with a Confederate flag in the background of his home be investigated the same as somebody with a Nazi flag? And yes, the answer is yes.
May I ask a question?
No.
Investigate it.
Okay, stop. Okay, stop. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Wait, please, let me just respond because it was directed at me. I don't think any of it is okay. However, I will be consistent.
That's not what I'm asking you.
If there was if there was a 150-year-long propaganda campaign to convince a population of 1/3 billion people that the Nazi flag, yes, sure, it was associated with the Nazis, but also it means Buddhist peace, which, I mean, originally the reverse of the swastika did. And that, yes, when you fly the swastika, okay, there's the Nazi thing, but primarily it represents the Buddhist peace thing. And is everyone being honest when they say that? No. But a lot of them are. If we lived in that future 150 years from now, I would say yes. Well, I still think it's a
more than 150 years removed. That's why you're being ridiculous. They were 150 years in the 60s. You don't understand that. You're either you're an idiot or you're just acting like one.
Hold on, wait. Let me finish that because I was interrupted. So you can look it up if you want. But the propaganda campaign to rehabilitate the Confederate flag has been going on for, about 150 years. So if we had an equivalent length of time to lead to an equivalent amount of rehabilitation for the Nazi flag, while I would still think the Nazi flag is horrible, like I do right now for the Confederate flag,
I'm not saying that you don't think the flag is horrible. Stop saying that.
There's a difference between the two.
Yes, it would not be as negative an indication of a person's character, them flying a Nazi flag, as it is now when there has been no such rehabilitation and it's directly associated with nothing but the Nazi ideology. I can't answer it in any other way.
Yeah, so can we recognize the equivalent?
Hold on. You're saying that, so it's saying there's a qualitative difference between these two symbols. That the work that's been done on the ground by not just the
Arminius, why don't you ever jump into these fucking chats? You fucking chatted with me. You fucking jump into this shit. You're a Nazbol, like, turn the shit sideways real quick. It'd be real interesting. Vaush is in there and shit, dude. Hop in there, dude.
But like, you brought up in Germany, you brought up in Germany that there could be people who look at the Nazi flag the same way. Right? I agree with Viv on this one. And that,
bro, you spoke so well with me the other night.
I understand.
You should do it, dude. Like, it's no thing.
But from what I understand,
you can sit in there until you feel comfortable, and then you fucking cut in
and
say
the state propaganda.
Trust me, somebody's gonna say something that'll piss you off and have to want to talk.
That has gone into like shaping.
That's what it took for me.
I
sat there for like 20 minutes the first time.
The Nazi regime.
And then somebody said something that pissed me off, and I was like,
right?
Fuck, motherfuckers are gonna talk now.
These states, we have not confronted our racist past. We refuse to do it, right? We try, and then there's backlash, like the CRT, right? The whole thing. That's a fucking example of this, right? People are trying to confront our actual racist past, and then there's a huge fucking backlash. From what I understand, I could be wrong because I've never been to Germany, that they have something that's just that's never really been done before, I don't think, right? Confronting their mistakes. And so it's almost impossible to think that there is anyone who's been in Germany for any length of time who thinks that of the thinks of the Nazi flag the way many people in the States think of the Confederate flag. But you're saying that you don't think
this is the apology that even you're engaging in, Prime. These people understand what the Confederacy is. There's this fake idea that these people are somewhat confused or they don't understand the true history or the true intentions. All of them understand
by saying they're dumb. Stop them off the hook by saying they're dumb.
Jason, please.
All of them understand exactly what the Confederacy meant, and that's why the people who fly the Confederate flags today vote the way they do, attempt to enact the policy that they do, but they do it, and then they espouse this dumbass thing of, oh no, it's just Southern heritage. And then people like y'all apologize for this bullshit. So you say, hey, I think the Confederacy is reprehensible. I think flying the flag is reprehensible. I think it's a symbol of hate. It's a symbol of slavery. It's a symbol of disliking black people, all this shit. But then you say, but even though all of this is so clear, the people that have that flag, they just like the barbecue. And it's so funny.
Great. So I want to respond to this because the knowledge, right? Maybe I'm doing an apology. I don't know. But the knowledge, right? The knowledge. Thank you. The knowledge that a lot of white people have about systemic racism and the history of the United States and race, how that's deeply tied together, is very thin.
You don't believe
it is. No, it is. No.
This is silly.
No, wait a minute, hold on. Let me finish, please. This is
you're saying that
Gambit. I'm gonna mute you. Gambit, I will talk. Gambit, I'm gonna fucking talk and finish my fucking point.
He'll kick you, bro.
You can finish your fucking point.
Okay, great. So, what I will fight you on is this point in particular, is that many individuals simply they aren't taught. They aren't taught, right? I've talked to white individuals talking about the education they've had on the past, on the civil rights movement, on slavery and all that, right? And the things that they have told me that they've been taught is fucking wow. And that, especially the absence of what they've been taught, right? It's amazing. People literally do not know, right? And then it makes it easy for Fox News or whatever conservative shithole propaganda, right, to fill in the blanks for them. Right, so that they never make these connections, never understand there's a history behind all these things, right? Like, why are these people impoverished, right? Like, is there something behind it, or is it a moral failing on their part, right? It's easy to say it's a moral failing if you're never told the actual history, right? And those are the people who are marginally in good faith. Right? And then you get the actual hateful motherfuckers, right? So like that, I will absolutely fight you on. There are people who don't know, who look at that flag, and yes, their granddaddy will tell them that it's a symbol of Southern pride, right? And leave it at that. A lot of motherfuckers who don't know. I know it's incredible. It doesn't seem like that could be the case, but it's the truth. I'm done.
But so you think so? This is the apologia. You think that these people are incapacitated. Wait, what that was?
That's Vaush's alarm.
Ain't me.
Yes, is that you? Who? All right. Anyway,
yeah. So this whole appeal to ignorance is what's disgusting, and this is what people do. So you think that these people who rock the Confederate flag, who also vote the way they do, who try to enact all this voter suppression, they're just unknowingly doing this. There isn't a plot. They're just some kind of way incapacitated, but they're continuing as much racism as they can against black people, but they're mistakenly doing it because they don't know the history, they don't understand all of these other things, and they're just making mistakes. They're just daily waking up and
understanding the history.
What if they're just like regular racist, but not like Confederacy slavery?
I did interrupt you, Gambit. And I apologize for that, but I'm sorry. Please.
No. I was asking Vaush, can you respond? I was done.
Yeah. Well, I gotta go in 10 anyway, so yeah, I'll jump. So I I mean, I don't know how to say that. I've already said that I think that the people who fly Confederate flags, like 99.9% of the time, they're going to be racist. But I think there's a difference between being racist and being pro-slavery. My argument wasn't that folks flying the Nazi flag were racist. It was that they were Nazis. There's a much bigger difference in the scale here. I think that a good chunk of Americans are racist to some extent or another, so that would wrap in a bunch of folk. Here, wait, let me just ask you this, because maybe this will get at the heart of the disagreement, okay? Do you think all the white folk who want more policing in like inner city neighborhoods want it because they want to like disproportionately punish black people?
Vaush, can I actually like tackle? Wait, hold on, wait.
I've had one that's been hanging on. No, Jason, he asked me a question. Vaush, you're better than this. Like I know you are.
Can I actually address? No, wait. I want to address Vaush's statement for a second, right?
None of you can. Nobody can address.
I'm going to address your statement. No, Vaush, I want to address your statement.
We can't let him not answer it. We have to let GSU answer it.
For like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I know, dude. I'm sorry. You were late. We've been doing this for a while. You were late.
Yeah, I know.
So Vaush, no, I don't think everyone that wants to put more police in black neighborhoods are inherently racist, because there's also black people who want more police in their neighborhoods. There are real problems that need to be addressed. So no, I don't think you can say yes just because somebody says they want more police means that they're racist. No, I don't think that.
Black people in Philadelphia right now fighting for martial law. They want the federal government to come in. There are black people in Philadelphia right now fighing for that.
Black people who fly the Confederate flag. I've seen them.
Okay.
Gambit, are you done your point?
So no, because I want to ask Vaush's question. So to me, and I want to understand where you think things are different. To me, there's no material difference between a person who is engaging with Confederacy paraphernalia than there is with Nazis who engage with Nazi paraphernalia. All of them harbor hate in their heart. The Nazis did kill people kill Jews and stuff. But the people who are Nazis today, if they aren't taking those actions but they harbor those feelings, to me they're the same as the Confederates, who all look at the systemic racism in our country and everything else that's happened in our country and they continue to fly it. To me, those people are equal. There's nothing different about them whatsoever. And I think when you apologize for them and you say, no, I think these people are stupid, they don't understand, that's why I call it apologia.
You agree there's no objective meaning to a symbol. It's not that they're stupid. I think their meaning is harmful. I think the meaning they've adopted, when they do believe it's a Southern pride thing, is rehabilitation. But because some of them do honest to God believe that, and their middling racism doesn't reach the level of endorsing slavery, I don't think it's the same as when folks who fly the Nazi flag are like all Nazis. Look, I don't know what to say. If you want, what you can do is run around the country, okay, take a tour, find folks who got Confederate iconography, ask them of their opinions on race relations. I bet you're gonna get some N-words, and you're gonna get some people who are like, I think we're all good, we just need to work hard. Then go find people with Nazi iconography and ask them, tell them you have no cameras on you, then ask them, okay? I think you'll find there's a huge difference in the behaviors, mannerisms, and positions.
I think, so I want to respond to this and then we can be done. I think the people who do what you said understand exactly what the flag means and understands the dangers, and they aren't really flying it in this manner of Southern pride. They're flying it in the manner for what it actually represents. They just say those things out loud so that it's okay, and other white folk are okay with them doing it.
Yeah, a lot of them do that.
Okay, go ahead. Pyro, go ahead.
So one of the things that we keep fucking missing about this is that like the difference between Nazi Germany and like their iconography with the swastika and the Confederate flag are so fucking different. I don't understand how we can compare the two. Like Nazi iconography is very succinct, right? They have their swastika and shit, but like the iconography of the swastika itself is stolen. So like if we're talking about like the symbol itself, no, I'm not going to hold the same position that someone like wearing a little swastika on their button is like a full-fledged Nazi, because that iconography was stolen. But if they like have actual German fucking Reich shit, I might make that comparison. The same way with the Confederate flag, because like I might jump to that, because when we look at when this flag was made, it wasn't made before they started the fucking war. It was something they made right after. They seceded from the Union and then attacked Fort Sumter, and this was the flag, right? There were three different types of flags. There was the stars and bars, which we don't really see flown, and then there there was the flag that we know and hate today, the stainless banner and then the bloodstained banner. These are the two flags that have like the battle symbol that we hate. So like when we say like people who
I swear to God,
when we say like people who fly this flag like have an understanding of like this history, I understand where Gambit comes across in that. The mistake I think Gambit makes is ignoring that there's a difference in how we taught that history. There was a very long campaign that is still ongoing to paint this as like some, states' rights issue when it's really not. I don't think the solution though is to coddle them and hold their hand and be like, well, you see how it's not? No, it's to bludgeon them over the head while blaring Union Dixie.
They don't really believe that, Pyro. That's just what people say loud, so it's okay.
And we've already explained this to Gambit several times. And
Gambit that's the clarification point I needed, Arminius. That's why I wasn't understanding.
Even being dishonest, or I don't know what the fuck's going on, because earlier in the conversation, Gambit himself recognized that there had been a long time propaganda campaign and some people didn't necessarily believe
just because there's a propaganda campaign. Just because there's a propaganda campaign doesn't what that propaganda campaign was. Hey, you can be racist overtly and you can code it as something else. That's what the propaganda campaign was, and y'all fell for it.
I feel like
you're presenting like I have to go soon. This is actually really dangerous.
You think you're a mind reader? I don't think that I can read minds, so I have
to Gambit's point. This is a propaganda campaign launched by Woodrow Wilson that's been ongoing for 100 years.
Woodrow Wilson.
True. Yeah, well, Woodrow fucking Wilson, lost cause historian, president of the United States.
I know he was a trash fucking.
Wait, hold on, wait.
Like, hold on, wait. This is a long ass propaganda campaign. So when Gambit says like he doesn't expect that people actually hold to this, I can understand why. This is something that we have actively fought to overcome with like the civil rights movement and shit like that on hand. So I can understand why he's a bit hesitant to be like, yo, people still believe this shit about like great grandpappies and states' rights. States' rights to what? Because we say it here all the time. States' rights to enslave.
Yeah, states' rights to what? That's the point. States' rights to do what?
Yeah, we know we're anti-slavery. Thank you. And anti-lost cause myth. Look. This is a misreading of the propaganda campaign. This is not how it works, okay? The point of this whole states' rights thing was not to give all the super racist pro-slavery ex-Confederates like a code word that they could use to express it. It was to get non-Confederates on board with the normalization of their language. This is how conservatives get away with
Wait, stop.
This is how conservatives do things today, okay? The alt-right did it with a bunch of stuff.
Where do you think it stems from?
Can you please
let him finish.
From the OK hand symbol to milk to Pepe, the goal was not, okay, listen up, everyone who is pro-Nazi will use Pepe, and people who aren't pro-Nazi won't use Pepe. The point is to blur the lines by normalizing symbols that both refer to in-group biases, but also are ambiguous enough to the outside, and cloak your actions by including a much larger group of people who don't believe it. That's what they did with the states' rights thing. The vast majority of the people who believe in the states' rights myth are not... Wait, please.
I understand. I'll let you finish.
The majority of the people who do the states' rights thing are not like secret advocates for the Confederacy. They legitimately believe it. There are secret advocates for the Confederacy still politically active today, but they rely on the shield of those people whose understanding of the issue is incomplete. That's the reason why I'm saying that while this symbol may still be bad, it doesn't say as directly about somebody what a Nazi symbol does, because no such effort at ambiguity has been placed on that symbol. There is no ambiguity there.
Before you go, I want to ask you a question. So you're saying that you think the people... So wait, I'm going to ask you a ridiculous question like you've been doing me. So you think the people who say they support states' rights don't understand what they're saying states' rights for?
I think, honest to God, the majority of the people who say it was about states' rights do not think it was about slavery. That is correct.
No. What do they think it was a state right for?
That's it. They just think it's states' rights because they're stupid.
States' rights to choose to be
slavery existed. No, I'm talking to Vaush, not you though. So shut the fuck up. So Vaush, so you think they're unwrapped slavery?
Hold on. Vaush is about to pop out, so we gotta.
So Vaush, you think they're unaware of the Civil War?
But
no, they're aware of the Civil War.
Oh my God! Shut up. Okay, stop. Please.
Yeah. So Vaush, they're aware of the Civil War, right?
The majority of the people who say it was about states' rights don't think anything beyond that. They don't think it was about a state's right to do anything. They don't think of any particular policy or political goal. And I know that because when I was 14, I was taught by some internet forum that it was about states' rights with no other context. And like a smarmy, smug, superior feeling 14-year-old, I thought, it wasn't about racism after all. It was about
hold on. Wait, Gambit. Hold on.
I just want to ask a couple of questions.
Hold on, Gambit.
So Vaush, you know that did you know that the Civil War happened when you were 14?
Can we not go down this line of questioning?
Here's a question.
No.
Do you think that I was
I can't hear you because everybody else is talking. No, I couldn't hear your answer because everybody else was talking. Can you tell me what your answer was?
I did. Do you think I was pro-Confederacy?
No. Okay, one at a time.
Do you think that I was pro-Confederacy when I was 14 and thought it was about states' rights?
That's not what I asked you. What I asked you was, did you know about the Civil War when you was 14?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you knew about the Civil War, so you knew the Confederacy fought the Union, right?
Yes.
So you're saying that you knew the Confederacy fought the Union, but you didn't know they was fighting over slavery?
I thought it was about states' rights when I was 14.
True. Can I interject real quick?
No, we have to finish.
I did a fucking history report. I was 8 years old on Abraham Lincoln, and I knew it wasn't about fucking states' rights. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God! All right.
Wait, we have to finish.
So
dialogue, please.
So like, I just want to.
Hold on. Make your interjection. Just do it quick.
The problem with this is that, like, when you're doing your analysis of the propaganda, it's still wrong. When they say it was the state's right, they're not just saying that in a vacuum. They're saying very succinctly, it's the state's right to secede. When we're talking about the propaganda of, like,
do you think I believe that?
No, I'm not saying you do, but your analysis is just so dog shit wrong. I don't understand why you're saying this.
Then what did I believe when I was 14?
I don't care what you believed when you were 14. That's Gambit's
Interesting.
point. I'm not on Gambit's point. We're not a monolith.
Okay,
we're different people.
Point, then?
No. My point is, wait. I'm trying to explain it, but Vaush wants to interject and compare me to Gambit. My point is, your analysis of this is wrong. When they're saying when they're doing the lost cause shit of saying, like, oh, it was my grandpappy, you're right about everything about how the fucking system works and how propaganda works and how you switch it, right? But that's not the reason they employed this system. Was to cover up all of their racist bullshit and their aggressive acts, and like, they seceded, but then they directly.
You're preaching to the choir.
Okay, so then what? When I leverage this, why are you going to go on some tangent about how the mechanism itself works? I'm talking about the reason they employed the mechanism, which was to cover up a racist line.
But that's a non sequitur, Pyro. It doesn't address any of the fucking points that we're making.
So again, I need to know, do you think I was pro-Confederacy when I was 14 and thought it was about states' rights?
You were using pro-Confederate apologia that's been around.
What do you think? No, I agree with that. But do you think I was pro-Confederacy? If you would ask
that to me,
if I would have asked you,
Pyro, okay.
If I would have asked you when you were 14 years old and you said those things to me, I would have told you, man, you're pro-Confederate and that's fucking bad, and I would have given you the reasons why. If I'm asking you now, understanding your shit, watching your bullshit streams, I would say probably not, but there's still maybe a level of apologia there.
What ideology would I have had in common with the Confederacy?
Yes, can I ask?
No,
you can't. We have to finish one line.
Wait.
You said it. States' rights, buddy.
You would have had. Wait.
It's got to be on time.
Hold on. He was addressing Pyro, Gambit. We're not like all black people don't share the same hive mind. Like
I didn't say we did. I know we don't.
Oh, then let me answer. Cool. When you take that line of stance and reasoning in 2020 or wherever you were 14 in like the 21st century, right? I will say, yeah, you held a pro-Confederate stance because guess what? All them motherfuckers didn't die out in 1865. They lived into the 50s, and when they argued for their cause, because there were motherfuckers that were like, you know what, Confederate till I die. I'm a good old rebel. That's all all I'll ever be. You know what they said? It was about states' rights. They took the Woodrow Wilson propaganda platform and they used it. So when at 14 I'm asking you this question, I would have 100% said yes, you are for the Confederacy.
So, from your perspective, there's no difference between being ideologically pro-Confederacy and buying into pro-Confederate propaganda that's been disseminated through like general knowledge in your country.
If I'm having a conversation with a person and like they're taking these stances, even though I can like bring up the facts and prove it to them, even though I can bring up the secession documents and be like, yo, slavery's in the fucking words. Yeah, I'm gonna hold that stance, dude.
Okay, so quick follow up then, okay? The idea that Hitler improved the German economy, that he was good for the economy. Do you think that a person who believes that, nothing else, not Jews, nothing, like literally just that, like, oh, he was a monster, he like got the economy in shape though. Do you think that person is pro-Nazi?
If they use that and like say like, yeah, you know, there was all of this negative shit that people say about the Nazis, but they did this, I would say that yes. Because that would be my line of conversation. I wouldn't just ask them about like, hey, what did you think about like Hitler's fucking, you know, economic plans? I would ask them about the entirety of Nazi Germany. And if they use that the same way Confederate sympathizers use, it was just my grandpappy, I would be like, yo, you're a bit pro-Nazi. That's fucking yikes.
Hitler destroyed Germany's economy.
The specific
clear about this.
I was going to say, what the fuck?
That's unimportant. That's unimportant.
So hold on, wait. So you would, just to be clear, describe a person as pro-Nazi if they were ideologically opposed to every single thing the Nazi Party stood for, but they had heard through word of mouth or through the cycling of pop history on YouTube that for all the negative things he did, Hitler did fix the economy. And they didn't defend Hitler for that. That was just a tidbit, a point of information they had in their head. To you, this person is pro-Nazi. Do I have that correct?
If they bought into the propaganda that like Hitler was really good for the economy, yeah, I would have a problem with that, right? Like I didn't initially catch it.
I'm not asking if you have a problem. Do you think that person is pro-Nazi?
If they continued to buy into the fact that Hitler was good for the economy, despite the evidence against it, I would say, yeah, you probably are pro-Nazi. You might be like, yeah, you bought into the propaganda.
I have a question,
I think that is. While you have maintained consistent, I think that's a ridiculously reductive way of describing how people fall into different elements of propaganda. Like, by that logic, you could say a person is pro-Nazi if they think that the Nazis had like a cool science or weapons or medical program. I believe that the Nazis contributed to medical advances until I was in college. I think that by this definition, almost every American would be pro-Nazi or pro-Confederate if they believed in any of the dozens of tidbits of information that have bled into public knowledge as part of deliberate propaganda efforts. And if you'd call all those people pro-Nazi or pro-Confederacy, these don't mean
shut the fuck up.
Hold on, Jesus Christ.
Once you finish, I have to go because I'm 10 minutes over.
Sure, 100%. When you bring up the fact that, like, yeah, the Nazis may have had, like, you know, like they had good rockets program, or like, you know, they had like an impressive military. You can bring up those tidbits, but don't use that as an excuse to fly the iconography and use that as an excuse to be like, oh, there might be reasons why I can like still fly this shit. Like, no, I would point to the overwhelming evidence.
Pyro, before Vaush goes, ask him if you think that people should fly the Confederate flag.
He already said he doesn't. Why do I need to?
Okay, so why the fuck make that point?
Why did you interrupt to say that? Jesus Christ, no wonder you guys love fucking 1770.
Viv doesn't.
Fucking idiot, mate.
She can't follow conversation.
Speaking of POC in an effort to defend the Confederacy, I've got to go, okay? Good luck with this.
Feel like nice with that, Vaush.
Rough over here, okay? Good job. Gotta get over that white toxicity. Have fun, Viv. No, hey, do it.
You're good, dude. Like, I don't want you to think I'm like hating on you. You're actually solid. I just think like that we can all have blind spots in some areas, but like legit, I get where you're coming from. So
Make better point.
The only reason this matters to me is because I think specificity when identifying the severity of people's beliefs is necessary when determining how to treat them. Anyone flying a Nazi flag is like 98% of the time.
That's why missing the point is bad. I agree with you.
Yeah,
missing the point is bad for this exact reason.
Right, like if you're flying a Nazi flag
of traitors and slavers.
If you're flying a Nazi flag, 99% of the time, this person's mind is going to be changed by nothing but the slow wail of time or a bullet to the Roblox character. But Confederate flag, I know that a lot of the people who have Confederate flags are racist dipshits, and some of them are unironically pro-slavery. If you talk to them when they're drunk, okay. But I do know that a lot of them are like kind of racist.
A lot of them soften their rhetoric and say things like states' rights. That's what you know.
No, they don't all do it deliberately to dog whistle. A lot of them have bought into these talking points in the same way that I did about Nazi Germany's weapon programs, their medical advances.
Well,
I remember
maybe your house was just Confederacy, and now you aren't. This is a good thing.
I remember when I was in high school, I was very contrarian, and I would talk with my friends, and I'd be like, yeah, the Nazis were terrible, but without them, how could we have gotten all that medical research? Why did I say that? Their medical research was garbage. You know why I said it? Because I was an edgy, contrarian, stupid 17-year-old, and a lot of those talking points, I would not have gotten out of them if I hadn't gone into a humanities major in college. So I'm glad I wasn't around to meet people who would have called me a Nazi
sympathizer. I would have called you that. Like, yeah, if I was
definitely. I would have.
If I was in high school, with you, bro, and you said that shit at my lunch table, I would have called you a Nazi sympathizer. And if you wanted to have an enlightened conversation on why, we could have had that. But no,
if you open a convo by calling me a Nazi sympathizer
like that, like in high school, like in Roblox, like a lot.
If you still had that same position today, Pyro, should we take his kids away?
No.
No, of course not.
Great. Well, you and I have won the debate now, Vaush. Thank you.
I just want to point out, by the way, that if your strategy for moving people over who have just heard random bits of edgy tidbit online are like, you're a Nazi sympathizer. Now, let me explain why you're wrong. You're probably not going to
stop with the straw man. Stop with the straw. Hold up. Wait. Stop with the straw man shit for a second and realize that
you literally said you would.
I did not. I literally did not. The argument I would make is like, bro, you know, that's Nazi, like, you know, that's kind of like a Nazi sympathizer argument. And then I would explain to you why. That's literally like what I said.
You should.
Yeah, there's a difference between a Nazi sympathizer argument being deliberately invoked by a Nazi sympathizer who's trying to whitewash the
And
Nazi
you know
party.
what? I honestly believe that in a conversation, even with edgy 17-year-olds, the comment, hey, the Nazis were bad, but they're, you know, that shit wouldn't just come up. We would have had to be talking about the Nazis for some reason. Let's not act like this shit.
You know why we would have been talking about the Nazis? It's because I was playing video game. I was playing Call of Duty back then, and we got into some edgy fucking convos. But you know what I didn't turn into? A Nazi. You know what I wasn't at the time? A Nazi.
Cool. I played Wolfenstein too, and you know what? I talked about the lore of the video game and talked about how terrible they were. Like I didn't like try. I did like, you know, I was like, yeah, like when we talked about real world Nazis, I didn't try and bring that real world.
It's really concerning to me how you can't understand the difference between problematic and apologetic talking points bleeding into a person's understanding of the world because they're so ubiquitous.
I would call it out for what it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't weasel around it. There's a difference between that as an argument used to sympathize with the Nazis and you are pro-Nazi, you are a Nazi sympathizer. Those are incredibly different things.
I would agree. Vivian does not, but I
would beat you over the. I would beat you over the head with this and be like, no, like if you're unironically at like even as an edgy 17-year-old gonna say like, yeah, but they had like good but they had.
Have you talked to an edgy 17-year-old?
Yes, I was that edgy 17-year-old. I was that edgy.
And if I don't know, I grew up in a different generation. Edgy 17-year-olds sympathizing with Nazis got their fucking asses beat.
Wait, hold on. Wait.
Beat
nobody's
the fuck
talking
up, dude. Like
nobody's talking. Wait, hold on. Who mentioned
video game? I'm just telling you the truth. Video game.
No,
video game.
We'll say in Roblox, but that's what happened.
No, wait, hold on. Nobody. Thank you for the woke points. Nobody mentioned Nazi sympathy at any point during this conversation. I don't know why you brought that up. Who was talking about sympathizing?
We were just talking about being like
you
edgy
just said that, like you were like, oh, they did
fucking
blah 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 blah. I'm just saying that the rhetoric would have evoked a very violent reaction in my community. It would have revoked a very violent reaction in my community. That's all.
So hold on, wait. Okay, so you do know that the Nazis actually did have a fairly impressive rockets program, correct?
But if I preface that with like
all
Nazis,
sorts of crazy
if I
weapons too. They had
preface
all
that
sorts
with
of shit. They had sound weapons that like would fucking immobilize people. They had some really fucking crazy shit.
Time out, Gambit. Before you're into, there's a difference between like just bringing up the interesting tidbit, like they did have a rockets program. That's why we took most of their scientists, and being like, hey, they were completely evil, but they had a good rockets program. That's a little bit.
No,
you're right. You're right.
It's almost like this, but he's just all rhetoric in conversation. So he'll say dumb shit like that, even though he understands what you're saying.
It's almost like exactly.
You are the dumbest person
I'm just gonna say
it's almost like
Vaush is really big on black advocacy.
It's almost like unironically. Wait, I'll take the bullet. I actually think you guys are shit at POC advocacy right now because you guys are active repellents from any left issue with the idea that accidentally advocating, like accidentally repeating a talking point that's bled through decades of cultural propaganda is the same as being pro that thing.
He's on the stream talking about the police are just ready to make their next kill. Stop with this dumb shit. You're all rhetoric.
I love that coming from the guy in every single debate has to compare shit to the Nazis. Unironically, watch all of his debates. He compares all of his opponents that he disagrees with to like the Nazis and the watch it. You want to talk about beating a drum, bro? You want to talk about like people being bad advocates?
You want to do the dumb fuck better conversations? Like for the last couple of hours, okay, they've been the most excruciating, agonizing hours I've ever spent on this fucking program.
It's hard being from the UK where you didn't have chattel slavery. Like, I mean, it must be rough.
All right, Jason, stop it.
Every time I've opened my mouth for the last fucking
Viv, we don't care.
Shut the fuck. I don't care if you don't care. I'm on this fucking panel. You dumb fuck.
No, people talk over you because they don't want to hear what you have to say.
Plenty of people hear what I've got to say. All right, like there's a lot more than want to hear what you have to say. I'm sure. Now, it's been fucking excruciating. Whatever. Thank you so much. I realize you all wanted to like come in and like have you go at like taking a chunk out of Vaush, and we couldn't even have a fucking productive conversation because you're just going in weird little fucking brain loops about how can I get a dunk on Vaush. It's fucking cringe. Vaush says dumb shit all the
time. It's fucking 1 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. Nobody gives a shit.
And if you were less
who the fuck's watching
this on him, you'd have noticed some of the dumb shit he says. And actually,
I didn't even know Vaush was in here. You idiot. Ask Prime. I said, Prime, what are y'all talking about? And I said,
have an IQ dancing
around me. Chat. I said, oh shit, Jason. So I'm not even gonna join. But then I joined anyway.
I just want to shit talk the Confederacy, bro. Like fuck the Confederacy.
Wait, Viv is really sitting here trying to act like we give a fuck about Vaush when you've been sitting here trying to impress him the whole time. Oh no, me and Vaush this. Oh no, me and you like you.
Let me jump in the trails of Narnia.
It's time to drop
the Viv,
accuse them of transphobia. It's time.
It is wild that
hold on. I just want to point out, by the way, that like it's hilarious that you would say that because not only have Viv and I beefed plenty of times, we've like significantly and personally beefed since the beginning of.
I don't care.
But this is one of the few times where all the people we're arguing with are so stupid that there's actually no choice but to get along because the alternative would be madness. Viv, it's time to drop the transphobia bomb. You got it's time. Hit him with it.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm sorry. I can't lead in this. What are you talking about?
Jeez, just say something British.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you can get them with the Anglophobia bomb.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm 20 minutes.
True.
All right.
A good point.
If I see you guys on, in the future, I'll jump on too. Okay, you're all very entertaining. Have a good night, Viv. Prime.
Have a good night.
You get it. This is a joke for you. Right.
Goodbye. This is Vaush. Now all of a sudden we're transphobes.
Pause for a second. Hey, all. Vaush just left, but if you're here for Vaush, well then. What you should do is hit that follow button right now, right? Because people pop on the open panel. People can do that, right? Including Vaush, including his great nemesis, who will not be named. That happens, right? And Venture Shoot and all the other conversations that we have here, just like this, right? Maybe sometimes better organized. But hit that follow button right now. Make sure notifications are on, so you know I'm going live. It is 6 nights a week. Don't want to miss out on any of that content. Viv, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the idea that I would take a particular position in an argument to try and impress Vaush.
That's not what I said.
Well, you accused other people that, Viv. So what the fuck, dude?
So you took a position to.
You said the exact same thing about everybody else.
Every time you spoke, his name.
You're a grown ass man.
Deep in them the whole time. It's hilarious.
Yes, because we agreed. Okay, and when I agree with somebody, right, even if I don't agree with like a whole bunch of fucking things they say, I have to say that I agree with them because I'm intellectually honest and I actually try and present my own.
Statement you made, you had to say his name because you were trying to be intellectually
but you can't
honest.
accuse people of clout chasing or some shit because they because they disagree with somebody vehemently. Dude, I respect Vaush quite a bit. I actually watch his stream all the fucking time. But I think he's really bad in a certain area, and he needs to be called out for it.
Go to bed, you dickhead. Get the fuck out of Prime's chat and go to sleep.
Oh my
god!
I think
I fucking
like I literally just came in to shit on the Confederates. I listened for a bit, and then like I wanted to hear Gambit. Hold up, wait. I listened to Gambit's.
You came because Vaush was here.
No, I came.
No, stop lying, Pyro. Apparently. We can only come if Vaush is here. Apparently.
But I get it, right? We're all just like lackeys and shit to him. Like we're not good advocates for like a POC apparently, but like, bro, like just come on, don't like. I get it.
If you keep saying this shit, Vaush, people are gonna believe you, and I'm gonna get fucking DMs about it. Okay?
No, she's talking to Vaush and chat. You're just deep throating Vaush. This is hilarious. That's all you can do.
I'm talking to Vaush because you're fucking uninteresting, mate. You're boring the shit out of me.
You can chat too, right?
I don't think you have more than 2 fucking brain cells inside that thick fucking skull of yours.
You can pass something about our lives to figure that out.
Just explained the same. How long it took for us to explain to you.
Part of your life, you doing better.
Fly the Confederate flag.
Isn't it funny that I know you vehemently disagree with Gambit, and I'm agreeing with him tonight? Like I just fucking reamed his ass last night, and I think he's fucking straight tonight.
I don't know how much you've been drinking, Jason. You've obviously drunk your fucking brains out of your skull too.
You know how you wax about white stuff. You know, I grew up with a single parent, abusive home, and I still have far better success in my life than you do. You want to talk about who's smarter? Huh? Boy. That's what you want to do?
What is this?
Wait. No.
This is smart. Viv can do this.
This is gonna be dark.
This is
it's gonna get
dark. This is not cool, man. I don't like that.
No.
Hey, it looks like you. I don't want it.
Whoa! Shut up! No, shut up! I'm not gonna let it go down this path. No, we're not.
But I can't defend myself.
I don't give a shit. We're not gonna.
Shit, if I call her down now, you dig your panties.
We're not really. All right.
Really?
We're done. We're done. We're done. Hey,
I can be called down, but nobody else can.
Subs to the channel. Gift bits. Give subs. Help out the channel. Right. Follow the channel. We're not going to go down this route of like that's really dark, man.
But if I retaliate now, all of a sudden it's a problem.
You're what? You're.
They can say channel where if somebody's being attacked, they're being dogpiled. You don't give a fuck. But when we fight back, we got to close the damn screen. We don't want feelings.
No, hold on, no. This particular argument, no. This particular argument, I think is just. I don't.
It's a little cringe, Gambit. This is cringe, bro.
Calm down. He's saying it's unfair. He's saying it's unfair because like you let Viv go on for a few, but then like you put an end to it when Gambit went. Like I don't really care about that. You're right. It's a toxic conversation either way.
No. For this specific, I know, but I'm talking about this specific thing.
Like,
I don't.
I can't defend myself.
Also, come on. Calm down. Like you haven't been able to talk. Like you haven't. I literally made space for you.
I'm arguing that if I attack people with the same dumbass vitriol that they attack me with, all of a sudden you become, oh my God, no guys, hey, let's be all nice to each other.
Hey,
every time when Viv calls people transphobic and all this other dumb shit all stream, you don't give a fuck. But then all of a sudden, so
GSU, part of it is your
wait. GSU, calm down, bro.
You're clipping really bad, and we missed
because we can't understand you. We can't understand you, bro. We can't understand you.
Slow down. You're clipping really, really fucking bad, dude. Like, I'm trying to hear you because I agree with you on some of this shit, but I can't hear what you're saying.
No, I know what this is. Hold on. I turned my mic volume up locally. You've called me transphobic. You've called another individual transphobic. You've done this.
I called Fanatic a homophobe. I stand by that.
No, you called me transphobic because I believe in Christianity. You called me transphobic multiple times on this stream.
No,
no.
Gambit. I would never call somebody transphobic because
oh
they
my
believe
God.
in Christianity.
Oh my God.
I would call somebody transphobic if they had a particular belief that might be informed by Christianity that is transphobic. So what did I call you transphobic for? Because I don't.
And you can answer that. But also give subs and bits, and that's how I pay for us to yell at each other. So, subs to the channel, please. Go ahead, please.
So what was your view? Was it like a puberty blockers thing? I seem to remember having a puberty or was it the transport thing?
I thought that was crunch.
You called me Viv, the fact that you're trying to this is stupid. The fact that you're like, which time
every conversation
multiple times is hilarious. Hold on.
I don't remember every conversation that I have I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people. Okay, now
I'm not asking you to recall conversations.
It obviously seems to have stuck in your mind that I called you transphobic. So I'm asking you what I called you transphobic for. I have no idea. I can't remember a transphobic view that you've expressed to me. I think you were on the wrong side of the transports issue.
I'm not on the wrong side of the transports issue.
Okay, that was charged, all right. I think you were on the anti-trans people being included in women's sports side, right? I think you might have said
absolutely I am.
Okay, cool. That's a transphobic position. Now we can move on.
It's not.
Well, it is, but
yeah,
we can disagree.
Yes, if you don't wholesale agree with everything that Viv says, you're a transphobe. I got you, but I don't give a fuck that you called me a transphobe.
Okay,
that's at all.
Perfectly fine. I don't give a fuck that you.
Yeah, I'm just saying. No, the only thing that I'm saying is when you make silly ass claims like that, nobody gets their panties up in a bunch. Viv can say all the dumb shit that Viv wants all fucking day, but the minute that somebody throws that shit back to you, all of a sudden we got to close the stream. Sorry, that's all I'm saying.
Me saying that I think your position on transport is transphobic is the same as you going, I'm so much more successful than you. I didn't even have a parent. You want to go down that road?
I was more successful than you. I didn't say I was more successful than you. I said you called me dumb, right? So when people call me dumb, I want to figure out exactly what about your life is so good to call somebody like me dumb, because I think quite highly of myself. So if you're going to call me dumb, you surely have accomplished something since you've been on Earth. Surely.
Okay. All right.
Okay. The reason I called you fucking stupid is because I had to say explicitly, like, it must have been 5 or 6 times that I think
because you weren't talking to me.
I think that people should not fly the Confederate
flag.
Maybe if that multiple times.
Maybe if you're looping, Viv, you don't understand the conversation, and that's why you're dumb, right? Maybe if you're the one who looping and you think I gotta say this again and again and again, maybe you're missing the point and you're a fucking idiot, but you don't understand that because you're fucking stupid.
So what was the point of you saying that you think that you should excuse people flying the Confederate flag?
What I'm saying is you give the apologist view that those people are dumb. You give the apologist view. You
changed your position multiple
No, I didn't. I didn't change my position at all.
Pause.
Prime, did I change my position?
And I will answer that. Hey, everyone. We are level 3 hype train, 39% done. 41% left. How about the hype train? This is how we pay for it. Sub to the channel for more of this. Gift bits, gift subs, all that. Continue subs or resub. All that helps. Use your Prime sub here on this channel. Help us get to level 4 hype train. We have less than 90 seconds
Fuck
left. Okay.
that, motherfuckers. If you on my channel,
My
use your Prime
understanding
sub
from
on
this
my channel. I
conversation,
need some fucking money. Help me out.
I don't
had to
believe
pay for new cameras.
that
Let's do
Gambit
this shit.
has changed
Help
his
your brother
opinion.
out.
Maybe
Go
I'm
ahead
missing
and throw me a
something. I
fucking
apologize.
Prime sub, or you could throw me a regular sub, or you could throw me some bits. I won't be mad at you. Fucking A. I won't be mad if you don't either. But if you can, fucking rock and roll. I appreciate it. Love you guys.
Right? It's because Gambit explicitly brought up this example and said, "Do you think it would be okay if after 100 years or whatever, and there was all this propaganda, and some of these people didn't realize?" He recognized in that instant that propaganda can mean that some people don't realize what a particular symbol stands for. He recognized it. He enunciated it. He spoke about it, and he asked very explicitly, right? I don't know. Maybe I am a fucking idiot and I didn't understand what it meant when he said, "You think it's all right for people to fly the Confederate
I explained
flag."
that twice and you didn't get it.
But I never said it was all right for people to fly the Confederate
You don't
flag. Nobody did, and I
you don't understand what okay meant in that situation. I'm saying that you're giving the out that these people are dumb when they're not actually dumb. They actually know.
I'm not giving
and
the
I
out.
believe and to go further, I believe you and Vaush know that. I don't think you and Vaush actually are these incapable, dumbass human beings. You actually know that, but you cover for the people that do that.
You hold me in higher regard than I hold you.
That's not holding you in high regard.
Yeah, but you're implicating me. You're implicating me as well.
You said I'm
for sure. If you have that belief, for sure. Wait, what is your name? Benji? Yes, for sure. If you hold that view, I probably think the same of you. I don't know you well enough. You could actually you could actually not know how to put together sentences. I don't know you at all, right? I know Viv. I know Viv, so I know Viv knows that these people aren't just actually idiots.
Okay, I'm glad that we have GSU Gambit, the fucking mind reader among us, to be able to tell us exactly what the inner thoughts of every American are. Now, if you could please put that superpower to use, okay, and then we can identify all the racists, even the ones that don't fly the Confederate flag, and we can engage in a program of re-education. It will be great. Should we do that, Gambit? Can we work together using your mind-reading superpower?
I don't think we need re-education. These people are educated on their positions. That's you that's dumb. That's you that's not dumb enough. It's you that's describing that they need education.
I think it is actually fucking insane to suggest that absolutely every single American who says something like states' rights or has a Confederate fucking bumper sticker knows everything that the Confederacy stood for.
I don't have to claim all.
You're taught American history.
I don't have to claim
American history in school exactly what the Confederacy is. You know what the Confederacy is.
We've kind of looped on this, but there's something that Gambit brought up that I actually do want to address. Right after another commercial. Hey everyone, again, we're at 5% of level 4 hype train, 95% left, plenty of room for heroes to help us out, right? Can we get to level 5 hype train? Again, this is how we make this happen. You've been enjoying this conversation, you've been enchained by this conversation, even if you think it's a trash fire, it doesn't matter, right? Sub to the channel, or give bits, or give subs. That's how we power this hype train, that's how we power this community, that's how I can do this night after night after night, 6 nights a week, never ever have a break. Right, I do it because individuals like you help us out. So sub, gift bits, or gift subs. Okay. So like Gambit said something that I want to address. So you talked about Viv's treatment here on the channel. This is a criticism that's happened before. So I'll say this. When it comes to women, and not just Vivian, right? I do give them more time. That's the thing that happens, right? There are less of them, frankly. That
I wasn't arguing about time, Prime. It's not time.
No. I know you're not. I'm just introducing the fact that things aren't equal. And thank you for resubbing, Felix. Please, if we get some more subs and gift bits and stuff like in the next 30 seconds, we can actually make it to level 5. That'd be great. So the treatment is not always equal, right? In terms of like being combative, like I think it's kind of for almost completely open, right? Like I won't let a person like attack someone for being a woman or for being trans or for a whole list of things, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to their ideas, and sometimes just being stupid is fine. Like call them like if you want to call them dumb, that's fine. Thank you, Prumi, for the 5 hot Tarek subs. Thank you so much. It helps a ton. If you want to call them dumb, sure, fine, whatever, right? I try to keep it not personal. However, like one, I attack Viv all the time. Like when we get at it, I just spent a whole thing attacking Viv, right? Like we just like for hours we had just gone at it, right? I was right, and she, yeah, I was right, and she just couldn't accept it, right?
Sneeringly condescending.
but it's fine. I thought that particular line of attack you want to go on, I thought that was pretty unfair. Like that was my judgment call that I thought was pretty unfair. But it's not like I'm trying to protect Viv. Viv isn't a woman who needs my protection, right? Viv has had a lot tougher, a lot scarier individuals than anyone fucking here. Anyone's come on my panel, right? She's handled a lot, so she doesn't need me to hold her hands. But like, it's just for that particular line of attack that you're going to go down, I didn't like it, and so I put it into that. You want to attack Viv on other things? Please go ahead. It's great content. But I just didn't want to. Do you understand, Gambit? I hope I'm being at all clear.
So this is my thing, all right? If people are going to sit here in a conversation and miss the point for an entire hour, saying a whole bunch of dumb shit, and then they want to call me dumb, first I try to say, hey, like, you're missing the point. I tried several times to say, hey, you're missing the point. And then all Viv wants to do is interrupt me. Because I think I turned my mic up earlier, and I think that's why y'all thought I was yelling and shit. I wasn't actually yelling. It was just probably my mic was loud as fuck.
You're just cutting out. Like, it was
that's what I'm saying. It probably was peaking.
Like shit. Nobody could understand you.
It probably was peaking because I turned the setting up earlier, and maybe I turned it up too high. But when Viv misses the point for an entire hour, and then she's like, oh, Gambit is dumb, Gambit is dumb, Gambit is dumb. And I'm trying to explain to her why she's fucking stupid. Then I have to say, okay, wait, all right. So nothing is getting through to you. So if you want to understand who's actually smarter of us two, let's try to figure out some way that we can compare our lives to show who's smarter, right? Because I feel like, hey, if we want to take it to that level and call people dumb, then let's take it to that level and let's see who's actually dumb.
That's not the goal of this panel, is to decide who is the smartest of.
Well, that's why I don't.
Or 14. That's not the goal of this panel.
If that's not the goal, then maybe I went in on you last night at GSU. Like, I don't think you're dumb at all. I think you're a really fucking intelligent person, and you contribute a lot. And I like fucking hearing what you have to say, even if I disagree with you. Same with all of you guys. Like, fucking nobody's fucking dumb here, you know. And maybe like using those kind of ad homs isn't necessarily the most productive to have a conversation about the shit we're going through.
He's saying that Vivian called him dumb, right?
No, I'm saying all across the board, we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Okay.
If you're in a legit debate, you ain't gonna do that. Why are we doing it here? I'd be an ad hominem. You lost.
Well, we're not a legit debate.
True. Valid point.
What you just described, Gambit, the way you perceived that conversation to be going, is the way both Vaush and I perceived the conversation to be going in relevance to you. Okay? And a significant amount of people in the chat, if there's anything to fucking judge it by. But it doesn't matter, alright? Different perspectives on the same fucking conversation, okay? We think you were very much missing the point, okay? For a significant amount of time and had to have things repeatedly explained to you. It should have been obvious.
They didn't need to be repeatedly
explained. And you think the same of me, okay? That's fine, alright? I really, really couldn't care less. As with regards to like the personal achievements thing, I don't know how we'd even measure that, buddy. I have no idea, because like I could sit here and say fucking anything, and you could sit there and say fucking anything. It doesn't prove shit. I'm not one of those people who likes to get my fucking activist stick out on the table and measure it anyway. All right,
But I'm perfectly fucking satisfied with a decent amount of the things that I've done in my life, and I'm sure you're perfectly satisfied with a decent amount of the things that you've done in your life, and that's all we can really fucking ask for, isn't it?
We have an olive branch here, GSU. Or do you have anything else you need to say? I want you to be able to say it.
I'll be nice. No, I don't. Awesome. I don't have anything good to say.
But I'm still far more intelligent than you.
Oh boy!
Exactly.
All right. Well,
yeah. We all agree with that.
Okay. All right. Well, we tried. We tried. This is what happens. Don't give peace a chance. No, I won't say that.
I made peace. That was me making peace. I can't do any better than that, Prime.
I know you can't. You know that's the limit of your ability. What
I like to do is I like to reel him in, get him to agree to peace, and then just dig him in the fucking ribs.
I didn't agree to anything.
Oh, okay. All right. Yep. Okay. So
and then they deny it. They deny they agreed to peace.
Okay, great.
I didn't. Prime said, "Gambit, do you have anything to say?" And I said, "I'm not going to say anything because I don't have anything good to say."
Okay, fair enough. All right. So, to my audience,
Viv is dumb, so she don't understand that.
We will be back tomorrow. And we'll have more content for you as we always do, right? We never not have content for you, because we have people who are supporting us, who invest in this community. So please invest in the community. All right, I'm gonna send you off to our friend because he's fucking streaming, honestly. Gappy V. So be nice to him. Come back here, do stuff. Oh, follow the channel. We haven't done so yet, but you know, if you haven't done so by now, you probably don't give a shit. So it is what it is.
We love you, Prime.
Yeah. We love you too.
We love Prime.
I had to turn on Prime stream before I got ready to go to bed.
And look what it started. Look what it started, man.
Yeah, why would you do that? Like, actually, I think it would be really, really good if you just
Full disclosure, I'm still streaming. I am streaming, so full disclosure.
I didn't know that. I didn't even know Vaush was here. I probably wouldn't have jumped on.
I didn't realize.
I came on right before he popped in, and I just
I was here before
then. Oh well, you know what? I don't give a fuck.
Oh wait, I forgot. No,
we were like every other panelist I talk to. And
I didn't even realize
I don't sugarcoat shit for anybody, and that's been my rule of thumb for a long fucking time.
No, but if you don't do that, you're just clout chasing.
Yeah, because how dare I be fucking honest with people?
I made that insinuation about you, Gambit, because you kept being like, "No, I'm asking this question to Vaush. Vivian, you can't."
Because he said he had to go
anymore. Because I just
no, because Viv, you were missing the point so badly that I just wanted you to shut the fuck up.
So incredible.
No, I wasn't. That's why. That's why we were able to engage, but you were just yelling to yourself.
Like towards the end, he started fucking. I was like, "Wait, what?"
You were looping, and then you were blaming me. You were literally blaming me because you were looping.
Like 100 times either. Yeah. Honestly, Gambit.
And there did
no. What Vaush did was ask ridiculous. What Vaush did was ask ridiculous questions like, "Hey, do you think all people are pro-slavery?" He was asking dumb shit like that to run away from the actual conversation. He was just asking a whole bunch. Every time he asked me a question, go listen to the questions that he asked me. All of them were like totality type questions about absolute nonsense that no one believes.
It was not nonsense. I would have asked the same shit. I just respected his presence.
Maybe you are stupid.
Yeah, because I'm a fan of Vaush, so I was like, all right, I'll let you ask him for me. Yeah, I'm cringe. I was fanboying the whole time. I was nervous. I was like, oh, Vaush is in the fucking Discord. But I agreed with everything he said and everything he asked. And I was like, go for it. Ask it.
I mean, I'm a fan of Destiny, but I can acknowledge that motherfucker can be wrong sometimes. Come on.
Vaush on indigenous rights movements, Vaush on like his tactical N-bomb shit, Vaush some of the shit he said about trans people.
Vaush on almost everything is just all rhetoric. That's why he asks stupid questions. Listen.
On this panel alone, I was like, I agree with everything Vaush asked and everything Vaush said.
It's okay for you to be a simp, but listen. It's not just me. It's not just me that Vaush did that with. He asked Pyro the same thing, all totality type questions.
Yeah,
because he's all rhetoric. He wants he wants somebody to say yes to one of his stupid ass questions, so it looks like he got an optical win. Yes, he does. Why the fuck does he only ask those questions?
He glossed over the fucking Daughters of the Confederacy. He just like walked straight over it and just started talking about other shit.
But it wasn't really relevant, Yamate. Like he already said like concerted propaganda campaign, blah blah blah, right? And it's not really necessary to go into detail about what that campaign.
But it's not a concerted propaganda campaign, and that's what you didn't understand.
It wasn't. No, it was relevance. It was literally the rewriting of history from the fucking Daughters.
Wait, I didn't say it was irrelevant. I said that wasn't.
No. I said it was relevant.
You said it wasn't a concerted propaganda campaign. Those were your words.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that it was a way. It was a way for people. It was a new way for people to code their racism. And you know this. You're not that stupid. You know this. You understand that the people that say, "Hey, I just want states' rights," you understand that all of them understand what they're saying. All of them. Maybe a 5-year-old. All of them.
You can be a 5-year-old and understand. Okay, Gambit. I mean,
I didn't. No, you're not listening. I said maybe a 5-year-old.
You do understand the meaning and the belief, and they do. They understand the meaning and the belief. They're indoctrinated into it. As to whether or not it's good that they're indoctrinated into it, or whether or not they are acknowledging that they are indoctrinated into it, they do understand it. They absolutely understand it.
I can't do this conversation for another fucking 4 hours, so I'll just say this in closing, right? I do think, okay. And I honestly think, and you may disagree with me and think that I'm wrong, okay? And that's fine. Couldn't give a shit at this point, right? But I think that when people do dog whistles, right, which is essentially what states' rights is, okay, that other people can repeat those dog whistles and not realize what they're dog whistling. I think that is possible, right? And I think that we've seen that happen.
So people can say trans women aren't women and do it in good faith. That's what you're saying.
Trans women women isn't a dog whistle. It's an explicit statement of a transphobic belief.
It's the same thing as states' rights to slavery. It's the same thing. You just don't have the same emotional charge to it to you.
The analogy here, actually, Gambit, would be trans women have greater bone density than cis women. That would be a good analogy, actually, of propaganda and dog whistling.
Because that's just a true statement.
That isn't true, right? That is used to paint a narrative that trans women are destroying women's sport and are a threat to them.
You think that there's no difference in bone density?
What, between trans women and cis women?
Yes.
It would depend very much on the individual trans women and cis women in question.
We're talking about on average, right? We're not gonna say Julia and average. Yeah, but on average, the statement that you said is true, and now you're saying that that's a dog whistle or something. Like, this is silly. It's a true statement. It's not a dog whistle.
When people repeat the Joe Rogan line, yes, it is. It's a dog whistle. Yeah.
That's a fact. It's not a dog whistle.
It's not a fact, actually.
Oh my God. So on average,
okay,
you think that trans women don't have more bone density? But the statement is on average.
I can say on average.
I don't give a fuck what Joe Rogan said. I know what you're talking about, but I know the statement. Wait. No, I'm not weaseling. Wait. I'm trying to explain myself. You're trying to cut me off so you can claim I'm weaseling. But the statement that you said is trans women have more bone density than cisgender women. That statement is biologically true. It's true on all levels. It's true. You can take.
It's not true on all levels.
How is it not true on all levels? Go.
Because it is only true, and I'm not even sure if it is actually, but it's only true as a generality. It's not true on all levels. And when people say it, right, what they mean is, right, when they're using it in a dog whistly fashion, what they mean is that trans women are men, and men are always stronger than women, right?
No, what they mean is trans women are have higher bone density than cisgender women. They mean what the statement actually says, which is a true statement.
It's not a true statement. Not all of them do. It's a false statement, in fact.
This is brainworms.
I know, and that's exactly how propaganda gets you. You end up repeating dumb fuck dog whistly statements.
This is just pure factual.
Okay,
it's literally just pure
says,
factual.
When somebody says states' rights, right, and you say states' rights to do what, right? They're not necessarily thinking about the states' rights to do what. Just like when you say trans women have greater bone density than cis women, right? Or generally what they say is trans women have greater bone density than women because they're not
average height. They have a greater lot of biological factors.
I understand your argument of generalities. Okay, what I'm saying is that you add the qualifier of generalities, right, in order to avoid it being a straight up fucking dog whistle. Okay, you're trying to make a more complicated argument. It's still an argument that's bad and wrong, but it's
not bad and wrong in any way.
When somebody says states' rights, right, to do slavery.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
That's them adding the extra content.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Are trans women?
Do you want to have the sports debate right now?
No, I don't. You ran away from that. But I'm asking you. I'm just gonna ask you a bunch of. I'm gonna ask you. You did. I'm gonna ask you. You said, "Hey, I got something to do all of a sudden." So do you think? Do you think? Okay, yeah, exactly. So you should be able to answer these questions pretty easily. Do you think trans women are biologically predisposed, on average, to be taller than cisgender women?
It would depend on when they started HRT, but as long as they started it post-puberty, then on average, they're probably going to be taller than cis women.
Do you think that the muscle twitch of a trans woman is biologically better than that of a cisgender woman? Yes or no?
Do I think the muscle twitch is better?
Yes.
Oh, Red, so much agree. Like, this is fucking weird, dude. Like, and now I'm disagreeing with fucking Gambit again, dude.
Is the answer yes or no?
This is fucking yes or no? Me fucking nuts. This is a fucking weirdest ass fucking debate, dude.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head whether they have more fast twitch muscle fibers on average.
Do you think there are several?
I'm not sure how HRT affects.
I'm gonna ask you. It doesn't affect muscle twitch at all. But okay. Do you think that there are several physical characteristics that I could go through and name where trans women are biologically predisposed to have an advantage against cis women?
Yes.
Okay. That's the end of the trans sports debate. It's over.
No,
it's done. Yes, it is. It's over.
So wait, okay. So me saying that trans women, on average, will have some advantages over cis women. You think that's the end?
Not some, several.
Okay, on average, right? Okay. On average, Gambit, I think most women will have several advantages over other women in sport.
Are you done? Is that your statement? You want me to respond?
Yeah.
You want me to respond?
Hey, Felix1943, thank you very much for the follow, and I will hydrate. I want to go get some water myself.
The statistical ability, the statistical what's the word I'm looking for? Jesus, I can't think right now because this is such a dumb question.
It's not a dumb question. It's
statistical probability, the statistical probability of their height is the same. So when you look at an individual within a demographic and say that one person in this demographic manifested a difference from another person, that's assumed because no two people are different. And there's a range, right? So we know that these things are ranges, right? And we understand that any two given people of a demographic are going to be different in some way. We aren't all born the same. So because of that, bringing up the idea that someone inside of a demographic has a difference is stupid.
Okay. Hey, let's
what we're talking about is comparing different demographics.
Because I want to illustrate something to you. So, do you think that on average, right, Western women are taller than Asian women?
I believe so. I believe that statement is true.
Yeah, then you'd be right to believe that that's true.
Yeah, Felix 1943.
Do you think that on average, right?
Gambit kind of has a point, but
Caucasian
thinks
and
because he has that point.
I don't even know what the fuck he's term
debate,
is
and then there is a further discussion beyond that. No, like it's kind of like
on average, right? They're able
like
to build
we don't have to jump. Like
Asian.
It doesn't have to carry over into where he's going with it. Like there's other avenues he could have taken to express his ideology that would have.
I mean, they have
because all it's going to do at this point is derail the conversation to a conversation about like trans issues.
You'd have to point me to something.
And he's trying to keep it about the Confederate flag.
You,
now
you asked about the ability to gain muscle. You didn't. You asked me the height question, and I said yes, right?
The ability
but you asked me
the ability to gain muscle, and I'll just tell you this, right? Because it's very easy. The ability to gain muscle, the amount of muscle mass that you can gain, is directly corollary to the size of your frame.
I want to remind you, this started out about the like whether or not kids should be taken from the home or the Confederate flag.
I know. We're doing a different topic now.
Yeah.
So essentially, what I'm illustrating to you is, Gambit, that there are many, many different demographics of women, right? One of those demographics is trans women, and trans women, right? Depending on like when they start HRT, if they start HRT, etc., right, do have some advantages as a generality, not every single individual, but as a generality, over women who are not trans, right? But the same can be said, dependent upon the sport, of various different attributes, right? You got the whole like Kenyan runners thing, right? You got like there's loads of shit. Okay?
No, so you're mixing
over each other in sport.
You're mixing a lot of sociological factors with biological factors.
No, I'm not.
And
these are all biological factors that I'm talking
you think Kenyan women are biologically predisposed to run faster?
She just used eugenics conversation.
I
mean, she just used eugenics talking.
How much?
That's
are we going in the race?
I'm sorry.
Like,
that's fucking
like
weird.
One fucking tribe in Kenya where they are much more
like I said, I normally agree with Vivian, but that was fucking eugenics shit right fucking there.
Right? These are just averages across demographics.
Yes, and their culture is why their frame ends up that way. I'm pretty sure if you take that Kenyan woman and you drop her into an American culture that eats all the shit that we eat, the Kenyan woman in America would be more likely to be obese than the Kenyan woman in Kenya. Do you disagree?
I mean, probably, yeah, but weight is not the same as like the.
No, but
you're
that's what I'm saying.
Eugenics conversation, though.
Yeah, that's what.
Point.
It's not eugenics conversation.
What the fuck?
No, it's race realism.
There are okay. Well, you know what? If you want to call me a race realist for saying that people,
I'm not calling you that. I'm just highlighting what your argument is.
No. Okay. Look. Stop getting so fucking uptight about it.
I'm not uptight. Why do y'all think I get mad? I don't take like I don't think y'all have intelligence, so I can't get mad at you,
man.
I really can't. I can't be mad at you.
Okay. Well, I mean, either you want to have a conversation or you don't, right? And you pushed for the transport conversation.
No, I'm having the conversation, but don't say stuff like, "Why are you getting mad?" I'm not. I can't be mad at you, Viv.
Okay, well,
I don't think you have intelligence.
Okay, and you know what? Likewise. Complete lack of respect both ways. It's great.
That's not a lack of respect.
Okay, well, it is on my end. Anyway.
Cool.
Hey, what's up, Doobie?
Hi. Oh, Jesus. So, Doobie just in time for the race realism, okay? There are hereditary genetic traits between haplogroups, okay? This is not fucking controversial, okay?
Yeah.
You have black skin, for example, because it is a genetic thing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Now, skin is not the only thing that is passed on genetically. With isolated haplogroups, there are other things that are passed on genetically, right? This is not controversial. It's not racist. Okay, it's just simple. It's just a simple matter of fact that when you have a specific demographic, particularly an isolated demographic, they develop specific traits. That's why we have, why Asians have the eye shape that they have, right? Why Mongolians have the face shape that they have, why black people have the skin color that they have and the hair type that they have.
I understand biology better than you do.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Great.
Tell me, we phenotypically represent differently. It's laughable.
I'm glad that we can get on board with that. Okay, so now, in this sense,
yeah, I agree, Red.
There are some traits.
Or just this is going to be us listening to them two go back and forth. Nobody's going to get a word in edgewise.
Being taller, for example.
This is about to be the stupidest ass fucking
or even being shorter,
one-on-one debate where nobody gives a shit about moderating it. I've ever seen.
Established that, and that means that Asians, on average, are probably going to be better at gymnastics because height in gymnastics, being short, is an incredible advantage. Okay, the shorter you are, better you are at tumbling. The faster you can do it. Okay.
I know where you're going. I'm trying to answer you, but I'm trying to be respectful and wait. But you starting to loop. That's why I interrupt you.
Making sure you understand, right? That I'm saying that
I told you yes to that 30 minutes ago. Yes,
okay, that's good. So we understand that there are things that give women advantages over other women in sport that are determined.
You remember earlier when I said yes, if you look at a demographic, they're not the same and there are going to be differences in that demographic. You don't remember when I said that? You're elucidating that point over and over and over again.
I agree. I agree with you. And that is exactly the same for trans people.
Okay, so now,
and then there are differences.
So now let's talk about why we have segregated sports the way that we have. We understand that though different biological women, we understand that biological women are going to be different from other biological women. We understand that biological men are going to be different from other biological men. But we understand that the disparity between biological sex.
AFAB people and AMAB people rather than.
I don't.
Terms. Cheers.
I didn't. Okay, now those terms are transphobic. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Biological man, biological woman. Yeah, they are. They're transphobic dog whistles. But carry on.
That literally doesn't make sense. But okay,
it makes perfect sense. I'll educate you on it in some future time. But carry on.
Yeah, so it's not transphobic, but I'll change. Yeah. Okay, so
you haven't even
you're
just gonna dismiss
I don't need to understand your reason why to know that it's stupid. But anyway, like I said, I want to move past that.
Okay.
People assign male at birth and people assign female at birth have a bigger disparity on average than people with inside the demographic of AMAB and AFAB. That's why sports are segregated the way that they are. Though there are differences within the demographic of AMAB and there are differences within the demographic of AFAB, the difference between AFAB and AMAB on average statistically is so different such that we think that primarily dividing sports on what you're assigned at birth is a far better and fair system. So that answers your question.
That's the argument that you're making currently. Yes.
That's what most sane, rational human beings think. So
okay.
So the thing is,
you have to have this conversation.
I don't know. I liked watching Andy Kaufman wrestle women.
Okay. But
I'm just saying, that's men and women.
That's cool if you have. I don't even know who that person is, but if that's your king, that's cool. Rock out. But
what, you don't know who Andy Kaufman is? Oh my god!
Oh, I don't.
Great comedian. Great comedian. Excellent.
Oh,
it's a joke. It's a joke.
Okay, so we've established that there are biological differences between people who are AMAB and people who are AFAB. It's not something I've ever denied.
No, wait. But it's important to. That's not all that was said. We understand that those differences are bigger than the difference between those within those two separate in-groups, such that we primarily divide sports on that line because that creates a fairer sports world.
Okay.
That's actual.
Okay, so originally that's
old school meaning before I was even fucking born. Jesus Christ! No wonder these guys don't get the fucking reference.
And the IOC use in order to make their ruling. So that's the conclusion that we have currently come to. Yes, in terms of sports segregation, that we're going to attempt to reach some level of quote unquote fair playing field in order to do that.
I like seeing a man hit a female. No, I don't really either. It's a joke.
Other differences between people,
if you watch the skits, they're pretty funny.
Would be much more.
Like he plays a heel. It's actually really fucking like funny, right? Because
whether a person is AFAB or
he basically gets his ass.
Can you tell me a characteristic that you would primarily divide sports on that would be more fair than the system we have today?
Well, it would very much depend on the sport, because different sports depend on different attributes in order to be successful. Things like height, for example, are extremely important. You will probably not see any
Wait.
Muggsy Bogues.
Wait, question. So you think that we should primarily divide sports on height, or you think that you're going to say we should divide every sport on some different quality?
How about we just fully integrate sports and just whoever is the best athlete gets to
cisgender women. That's why we don't do that, because we want cisgender women to be able to compete and be able to play sports. That's why we don't do that.
And they can, if they can compete at the highest level. There are college football players that are females. There are NFL football players, or there were an NFL football player that was a female.
In the history of the NFL, how many have there been?
Currently,
but that's because we didn't fully integrate the sport.
If you fully integrated the sport, what you have is women. What you have is cisgender women run away from sports.
I'm not even arguing for that right now. I do actually think it's the way forward, but but I'm not even arguing for that now. I'm just going to get you to one point first, okay?
No, but you didn't answer my question. I want to ask you again. I want to make sure, because you said things, and I want to see where you lie.
I understand what you said. You don't need to ask
Okay,
me
go ahead.
again. You asked me if we should divide sport based on height or some other attribute that is more pertinent to the sport, right? I would say,
that's not the question I asked you. The question I asked you is
what you can restate it then.
Yeah. So I originally asked you that question, and you brought up height, and you brought up that it's important in some sports. The question I asked you last was, do you think we should divide all sports by height, or do you think that we should divide different sports differently? That's the question I asked you.
Okay. So that's what I meant when I said, or by some other attribute more pertinent to the sport. Anyway.
This is fucking a waste.
That the way that sports work.
Integrate sports. Then it won't matter if they're trans or cis. It won't matter if they're
No, it's okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If you're the best one
I'll
doing
figure
it,
out what you're saying.
you can do
Go
it.
ahead.
Okay. I think that the way that sports works currently, right, does not in fact disadvantage cis women to any great degree. Okay. The inclusion of trans people in sport so far does not seem to have destroyed women's sport or robbed opportunities from great numbers of cisgendered women. Just hasn't.
You know, the truth is, men are afraid to lose to fucking women. That's what the fear is. Men are afraid to fucking lose to women.
Right? And there are meta-studies that even show this, okay? That trans people have an incredibly hard time even getting into sport for numerous socio-economic reasons, right?
Have you seen the data that came out from the UK that says the exact opposite? That the biological advantages of trans women are still very visible, even post-treatment of HRT.
Okay,
that was a big study.
That's bullshit.
So that doesn't discount what I just
said.
No,
but I'm saying, do you agree that that's a scientific fact?
Whether it's true or not is irrelevant.
Wait. So you don't believe the science?
Whether that is true or not is irrelevant to what I just stated. What I just stated is that the current rules that we have, right, do not seem to be disadvantaging cis women in any great number.
Okay? I disagree with that statement.
It is not destroying women's sport in any fucking significant way. Right?
Bro and sis, it's totally. I'm going to tell you both. It's co-ed sports for the win. It's co-ed sports for the win. It's the only way to create full equity in sports. It's the only way to do it.
Jason,
let the people who can compete on the most aggressive level be at the highest level of the sport.
Okay, yeah.
So, Jason, hold on, wait. I don't really want to engage with this, Jason, because I feel like you're detracting a lot from me and Viv's conversation. But I'm going to ask you one question. We know that would be disastrous for cisgender women. My question to you is:
why?
My
if
question
they wanted
to you,
compete, if they were willing to do it,
no. I want to ask you.
Why would it be disadvantageous to them?
So first off, if you've played any sport, and when I say any, I really mean any. If you play any sport at a relatively moderate to high level, and you've played that same sport with females, it would be with I think females is termed AMAB or AFAB. If you play any sport moderately, then you understand the clear differences between AMAB and AFAB people. Maybe you haven't done that, but the question I'm asking you is:
football.
What?
I was a pro-am skateboarder.
If you played football, played football with people that are AFAB,
I wasn't some fucking dude sitting behind a computer all day.
There's a big problem with you. If you didn't see a clear advantage playing football with AFAB people, then you have a problem, and maybe you should.
I'm just an old man, though. We didn't have that because that wasn't prominent when I was a kid. Like, I'm 41 years old. GSU, that shit didn't exist. It wasn't prominent. There wasn't even an avenue for women or trans people to get into sports when I was a kid. Like, we've seen progress, and I don't think it's enough. But I was of the era where that shit wasn't even a viability. Like, that's the difference.
When I was talking about playing with AFAB people, obviously I wasn't talking about an organized sport. I was talking about in any way, pickup, backyard, whatever. If you play,
honestly, Gambit, like the data doesn't even support your position if you're just talking about like amateur levels of sport, like
on every level, at the highest
level of sport. The average difference across all sports, right? This is an average difference. In some sports, women actually do better than men, but in
like
sports,
equestrian,
the average is about 10% difference in performance between men's sport and women's sport in terms of the records, right?
My point was that the oppression of the trans community was so great back then. They wouldn't have had an avenue into being involved in sports. Not where I lived.
Sport. There isn't
name a sport.
Huge difference between.
Do you want to look at what do we want to look at? Track and field. What do we want to look at?
Long distance running.
We want to look at long distance running. We want to compare the longs of people that are AMAB to the longs of people that are AFAB.
You can look at basketball.
No, you can't look. We can look at any of those if you really want to, and there's a large disparity at every level.
I mean, there's
even such a disparity that AMABs at a lower level can compete with AFABs at a higher level. You could take a college basketball team of AMAB people,
but what you're saying is that the AFABs that can compete at that higher level shouldn't have the opportunity to do so.
What?
You're saying that the AFABs that could compete at the higher level shouldn't be able to do so.
Wait, first off, I don't know if you know this or not, but if somebody is AFAB or AMAB, they can play in the dominant professional male sport. There's nothing that stops you. The only restriction is on.
I have never seen that in the NBA.
You've never seen it because it doesn't make sense.
I've seen it in NFL. NFL's done it.
No, you haven't seen it because they can't compete, not because there's some structural blocker.
Wait, so
that's bullshit.
I just want to be super fucking clear here, because now you said you were appealing to averages earlier, and now you're saying that there is no way for any woman to compete in that arena, and with that, I would say you're just fucking wrong.
We're talking about the domain of professional basketball right now. Yes, I will make the claim. that there is no AFAB on Earth.
Are you telling me Ronda Rousey couldn't compete with the fucking level A UFC fighter in her prime? Are you fucking kidding me?
We were just talking about basketball. Now you switched. We were talking about basketball.
Half of the fucking guys that would be in her weight class.
Viv, did you hear him talk about?
My point being is it doesn't. You just said the sport doesn't matter. You said the sport doesn't matter, and I'm bringing it to a higher level with the sport, a more physically combative sport, a sport.
No, I didn't. We specifically were talking about the NBA. But if you want to go to fighting, yes, I will make the claim that there is no AMAB that Ronda Rousey will compete with of the same caliber of professional.
Clown, dude. She would fucking rock a lot of dudes. So many dudes. She's rocked a lot of dudes in her fucking practices, man. You haven't watched Ronda Rousey much.
Yes, she's rocked people in her practice who are at several levels lower than her. Yes, but we're talking.
I don't just think you're a. Do you know what, Gambit? It's good news. I don't just think you're a transphobe at this point. I think you're also a misogynist. You think of women as so much lesser than men that they cannot compete.
I don't think of women as lesser than men. I think in the domain of physical competition, women are biologically predisposed to have a disadvantage.
Compete on the same level as males.